Hey guys, tonight we drift into Saharan dust and cured leather to a morning fogged by wood smoke and purpose. Picture this, your boots crunch raw clay tiles, still chilled from desert night. Dawn bleeds gold across Timbuktu's skyline, a geometry of domed roofs, huddled like sleeping scholars. Down in shadowed courtyards, metal rasps against whetstone. Someone's prepping tools for the sacred daily grind. Now let's get real. You dissolve into sweat-stained panic by mid-morning here. 3 sips into your latte thinking you could handle real craftsmanship. Please. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your coordinates below too. My producers swear those glowing screens in Reykjavik or Brisbane sync up with our studio's air conditioning. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your sandal slips on a tile's edge, clay grit embedding in your soul. Below, a 300-year-old workshop exhales dust motes into sunbeams. Timbuktu's manuscripts aren't just paper and ink, they're medieval cloud backups. Actual fact, 90% of Mali's written history got guarded here when empires crumbled. A rooster crows 7 streets over. Your fingertips brush a window ledge's carvings, triangles within circles. Some claim these patterns ward off termites. Others whisper their star maps for caravan ghosts. Historians still argue whether 15th century bookbinders used ostrich eggshell glaze or just liked collecting yolk-smeared pottery. You duck under a lintel. Hot wax and burned amber hit your nostrils, beeswax candles melting near priceless Qurans. Footsteps shuffle behind stacked hides. A blade shaves gazelle leather thinner than prayer paper. Someone's humming a tune your grandma might have known, notes dissolving into the scrape of knife on parchment. Your elbow bumps a reed basket. Inside, discarded book spines nod by silverfish. One bears faded indigo lettering Cora Chiini's script, maybe, or Songhai. Touching it feels like brushing hands with a ghost. 3 apprentices lug well-water uphill, their laughter sharp against the clank of buckets. Their shadows stretch across walls inked with algebra proofs. You catch words in old French remnants of traders who thought salt bars could buy wisdom. A mallet thuds rhythmically below binding signatures into codices. Each strike reverberates through floorboards, up your shins, into molars. Your tongue finds a chipped tooth, same tempo as yesterday's dream about drowning in molasses. Through a warped window pane, women knead acacia gum into glue. Their forearms glisten. One winks at you knuckle-deep in amber goo. You pretend not to notice the chartreuse lizard tail poking from her apron pocket. Local legend says those bring steady hands. The hum crescendos, needles punching vellum, awls hissing through hide. Disciplines blur here. Astronomy manuscripts smell like tamarind paste. Love poems stink of lanolin. Your thumbnail peels a splinter from the railing. Centuries ago, someone else's callus caught here, mid-panic about monsoon warp or Ottoman silk shortages. A crash echoes, metal on stone. All noise halts, then chuckles ripple through the workshop. Someone dropped a brass compass again. Work resumes faster now, like lungs gulping air after a plunged dive. Your palm flattens against a pillar. The wood's warmer now, sunrise giving way to glare. You count 19 tool marks chiseled near the base. Maybe an apprentice's tally days until marriage, debts settled, or deaths mourned. Wind tousles a drying manuscript's pages. Geometric diagrams flutter into illegibility. A curse rises from the courtyard. Cotton ropes creak as workers hoist manuscripts into shaded alcoves. Protection from ultraviolet heresy, or just wealthy clients' demands. 3 boys sprint past clutching reed pens. Their bare feet kick up spirals of dust, each particle once part of a pharaoh's sandstone tomb or Portuguese shipwreck. One stops to retie his turban, striped fabric flapping like a distressed semaphore flag. Your shadow shrinks, noon nears. Somewhere, a camel brays at the injustice of carrying papyrus bundles. Closer, a child recites multiplication tables while stitching end papers. 6 times 7 is 42. Her voice looping like a broken lyre string. The workshop's pulse slows, tools downed for mint tea and millet cakes. Steam curls from clay pots, fogging chronologies. A master binder wipes gilded letters with his sleeve, careful not to smudge the 24-karat heresy. You linger at the threshold, 1 foot in dust, 1 in devotion. This sunrise birthed 57 perfect stitches, 13 regretted words, and 1 love note hidden in a cover board's hollow. Tonight, scorpions will patrol these floors, their venom guarding against mildew and mediocrity. 3 breaths. The desert exhales, and so do you. Leather groans as aprons tighten around waists. The morning's first ritual. You count the familiar creaks, 3 straps, 2 buckles, a lifetime of muscle memory. The workshop exhales wood smoke, and last night's rain still clinging to clay bricks. Someone's whetstone sings against a blade. The grinding pitch tells you it's Fatima's favorite chisel. Your toolkit unrolls like a soldier's battle map. Bone folders lie beside read-alls, their tips darkened by decades of oxhide dye. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's bookbinders used European paper knives or forged their own. The answer winks at you from this leather pouch. You palm a blade handle worn smooth as a worry stone. Its edge still bites fresh parchment. Beeswax arrives in amber lumps, smuggled from hives near the Niger's bend. The scent hits honeyed and earthy before the apprentice drops the block onto your desk. You snap off a chunk, roll it warm between palms. Your thumb paints wax across a thread's length, an act so routine it feels less like work than breathing. Across the room, old Mansa cleans his tools with sand from the Erg Chebi dunes, ritual purification for tomorrow's holy texts. He catches you watching, and holds up a curved scraper made from hippo tooth. Few know the river giants once splashed where caravans now trade salt for silk. The tool's ivory gleam seems to mock your plain iron implements, histories. Inside, jokes written in bone. Needles emerge from felt wraps, their eyes threaded before dawn by apprentices half awake. You test a strand of Sudanese cotton, twisted so tight it hums when plucked. Someone's stomach growls loud enough to echo off the ceiling beams. A ripple of laughter dies quickly. Work resumes before the foreman's shadow darkens the doorway. Dye pots exhale cumin and vinegar, the stink of preservation. You dip a brush, watching indigo bleed into mendable margins. A drop spatters your wrist, blooming blue as a Marrakesh tile. The stain'll linger for weeks, a tattoo marking you as theirs. Noon heat warps the air before anyone notices. A water boy slips through, clay jug sweating more than his brow. You drink without breaking rhythm, left hand tilting the vessel, right hand guiding linen thread. The liquid tastes of river mud and yesterday's mint leaves. Some craftsmen claim the silt strengthens their fingers. You just crave the coolness. When the muezzin's call filters through shuttered windows, blades pause mid-cut. Heads bow over half-bound codices, devotion split between faith and craft. Your needle hovers above a stitch, quivering like a compass needle. One prayer ends, another begins. The thunk of a mallet on leather resumes before the last echo fades. By sunset, your fingertips memorize every burr on the awl's handle. You sheath tools in oiled cloth, knotting the roll with twine chewed, soft as dates. The apprentice hesitates with his broom, dust, motes swirl gold in the dying light. You nod permission. He flees, sandals slapping stone like a jackal pup bolting from lions, alone now with the silence. You press a palm to the workbench, splinters and wax fossils record decades of labor. Some claim Timbuktu's libraries hid maps to Mansa Musa's gold mines. You've only ever found pressed flowers and traders' IOUs in the gutters of rescued manuscripts. The night watchman's lantern bobs past you blow out your lamp. Fingers trace tomorrow's repair pile in the dark, edges crisp as starlight. Morning light slants through dust clouds you've stirred up. The repair pile breathes its decay into your tunic. Ink molecules crumble like ancient cities. You tie a damp cloth over your nose, too late. The first manuscript fragment feels like handling a moth's wing, veins of text visible through translucent paper. Historians still debate whether Timbuktu's scholars encoded star maps into poetry or just had terrible handwriting. You spot a margin note in Maghrebi script. This page outlived 3 caliphs and a particularly ambitious termite. Laughter escapes before you can swallow it, a snort that startles the apprentice dozing in the corner. Your fingertip bridges a tear in Euclid's geometry. Arab scholars kept those proofs alive, while Europe fumbled through the Dark Ages. The equation dissolves mid-sentence, some medieval reader's coffee stain obscuring the answer. Across the desk, a colleague sorts fragments using henna-stained fingers. Her nails click against vellum like a scribe's shorthand. She slides you a page reeking of musk, court documents from Songhai's golden age. One word catches your eye, Ghaffara, forgiveness. The ink pooled thick there, as if the scribe's hand had trembled. A sandstorm's leftover grit troubles your tongue. You spit discreetly into a brass spittoon shaped like a sleeping lion. The foreman scowls, his beard still flecked with yesterday's indigo. Work sustains, he mutters, tossing you a stack of Andalusian love poems. Their torn edges curl like the lashes of a weeping sweetheart. Your sponge moistens a glued binding. The waters from a well Pharaohs once drank from, or so traders claim. Parchment softens under your touch, centuries dissolving, until the fibers remember being calfskin. Someone hung rosemary bundles last week. Their brittle leaves rain down as you adjust the window's reed shade. 3 fragments resist categorization, inked constellations, overlapping with a recipe for pigeon pie. You prop them against an inkwell shaped like a Tao ship. The answer'll come at the 4th cup of tea. Scholars still argue whether margin doodles of camels were inside jokes or lost desert codes. A loose thread snakes from a Gutenberg Bible's smuggled page. German parchment rasps against your palm like a Nuremberg winter. Your scissors hesitate. Trimming it feels like editing Luther himself. The foreman materializes, snips the thread, and vanishes. His shears click like a nun's rosary beads. Noon heat warps the air into liquid glass. Sweat rolls down your collarbone. Pools where the manuscript's trimmed edge pricks your chest. You dream of the Niger's brown waters, clay jars sweating in the dugout canoe of memory. The apprentice mops his brow with a page torn from a tax ledger. 1403. Unpaid salt dues. When the call to prayer comes, your elbow deep in a legal scroll from Jen. A divorce decree smudged by tears or rainwater. Fingers pause mid-restoration. Did the scribe add extra flourishes to the word separate? The muezzin's cry bends around the workshop's rafters. A sound felt more in the ribs than heard. By dusk, your desk cradles fragments sorted into tribes, medical treatises whispering to agricultural manuals, epic poems flirting with grain inventories. A loose sketch of Timbuktu's gates flutters to the floor. The artist drew children flying kites from the battlements. You pocket it before the foreman notices. Some histories deserve to escape their bindings. The night watchman's shadow pauses at your station. His lamp turns parchment fragments into a constellation of temporary stars. You blow gently, scattering them like dandelion seeds. They land askew, ready to confess new secrets at dawn. The needle's eye glints like a desert mirage. You thread it on the 3rd try, cotton whispering through bronze. Each all-punched hole awaits its suture. The manuscript's spine arches like a cat, stretching awake. Your thimbles dented from that time, you mistook it for a coin. During tea haggling, Still the best 8 dirhams you ever wasted. Ram's gut glue tugs at your cuticles as you pulled a stitch taut. Medieval Timbuktu bookbinders preferred it over bovine for its spring. A scholar once swore they found saffron threads in a 14th century Quran's binding. Though you've only ever seen dyed camel hair, historians still bicker whether zigzag patterns denoted royal commissions or just distracted artisans daydreaming of dunes. The needle hesitates where vellum meets goatskin, your breath stills, until the join turns seamless. Across the bench, an apprentice sews a French psalter upside down. The foreman hasn't noticed yet. You hum a Songhai lullaby to mask your smirk. Let the kid have their rebellion. 3 stitches in, a knot blooms where none should be. Your nail coaxes it apart, a skill learned after ruining that Mamluk scroll in 22. The mistake dissolves like sugar in mint tea. Only your fingertips will recall the crime. Midday light slants through pergamentary holes. Those circular window cutouts Saharan scribes designed to reduce glare. Your needle's shadow becomes a sundial, each completed signature marked by the heat crawling up your neck. Someone's burning tamarind pods again. The acrid sweetness makes your sutures tighter, angrier. You pierce a folio's edge too close to Aristotle's beard. The philosopher now sports a papier-mâché earring. A snort escapes, quickly smothered by the thunk of the foreman's ledger hitting oak. 27 years he's worked here, still jumps at his own ink pot's shadow. A thread snaps. The sound rings louder than the call to prayer. Every head turns. You shrug, rethreading with a flourish. Embarrassment smells exactly like overheated beeswax. The psalter apprentice mouths show off behind a pillar. You stitch faster. Palms up. You inspect yesterday's blister, now a callus. Saracen binding techniques required sewing through the entire text block. No wonder those books survived Mongol saddles. Your method's gentler, though the Andalusian silk costs more than your monthly rent. A bead of sweat charts a course down your collarbone. It pools where the needle's eye kisses your sternum. You dream of the Niger's breeze lifting this oven-hot stillness. The thread disagrees, twisting like a camel, refusing its bridle. The foreman materializes, sniffing at your work. His nose hovers over the spine-flared nostrils, judge each knot's obedience. He grunts, tossing a packet of Senegalese copper needles onto your desk. Their green patina matches the oxidation on your morning teacup. You discover 4 folios sewn out of order. Page 117, now coyly winking between 89 and 90. Centuries of scholars missed this. You fix it, but leave a flaxen marker. Let future restorers feel clever too. Dusk turns thread to liquid gold in your hands. The needle blurs, a dragonfly stitching shadows to parchment. Someone's child laughs in the courtyard. The rhythm syncs with your piercing the final signature. When the lamp arrives, your work glows like a honeycomb, each hexagon of thread holding history's weightless honey. The night watchman pauses, squinting. sown or grown? He rasps. You let the question hang. Some mysteries improve with age. The lamp's honeyed glow still warms your palms as you step back. Shadows stretch into the scriptorium's inky mouth. Here, reed pens scratch vellum in endless Morse code, 100 hands etching wisdom onto cured calfskin. Your nostrils flare at iron gall ink's metallic bite. It clings like a jealous lover long after you've left. A scribe's elbow knocks over an ink pot. The black puddle consumes a half-finished psalm. He curses in Songhai, dabbing furiously with linen scraps. You resist reminding him that Timbuktu's manuscripts survived fire ants and sandstorms, not clumsy interns. Your assigned desk still bears knife marks from its last user calligraphy gone rogue during a particularly spicy interpretation of Avicenna. Historians still argue whether margin doodles of camels were protests or just bored apprentices. The debate fuels your smirk as you test a reed's nib against thumbnail sharper than a vizier's retort. Ink blooms across vellum. Each stroke mirrors the scribe beside you, humming Surah al-Fatiha. His cantillation curls around your earlobe, twisting with the sizzle of cooling mint tea. You mimic the tune under your breath, wordsless harmony that once got you slapped for innovating tradition. A page boy scrapes a miswritten aleph with pumice. The sound sets your molars grinding. Someone's using green vitriol ink 2 desks down. You can smell the fermented iron through your headscarf. 17 years since Gutenberg's press reached Cairo. Yet here you are, still painting knowledge one glyph at a time. Your reed catches on a vellum knot. The resulting splatter gives Aristotle an impromptu beauty mark. The foreman's sandal slaps stone in reprimand before he even looks up. You blot the stain into a passable ibis silhouette. Artistic license covers a multitude of sins. Moonlight filters through pergamentory holes. Those circular windows, Saharan scribes invented to copy star positions. Your fingers ache to trace Orion's belt instead of this property deeds preamble. 3 lines in, you realize the client's name is misspelled, must have been dictated after some celebratory palm wine. A fly drowns in your inkwell, its final dance memorialized between clauses about irrigation rights. You flick it aside with a murmur's apology. Every scribe knows insects contain jinns who grade your penmanship. The night of Catter manuscripts all have perfect lettering, coincidence. The hums around you shift, a chorus of ramen, as someone lights rosewater censers. Smoke curls around your wrist, briefly scenting the deed's margin with a florid inshallah. You sneeze, dotting the vellum with an accidental diacritic. The Qadi reviewing this will either canonize or flog you. Across the room, a librarian unrolls a genealogy scroll longer than 3 camels laid nose to tail. His assistant weighs the parchment, ends with lapis lazuli, stones stolen from Pharaoh's tomb. If the street storytellers are right, you doubt it. The real thefts probably involved hungover guards and a rented donkey. Your reed snaps mid-word. The fracture flavors your curse with Semitic gutturals, legacy of that Jerusalem copy shop apprenticeship. The replacement nibs too blunt, mangling waqf into something resembling a child's doodle. You make it an abstract art statement before the foreman's shadow looms. Midnight oil stains your sleeve, the price of transcribing hadiths under a coughing lamp. A sneeze threatens, you clamp it into a snort that earns side-eye from the Sufi doodling Eye of Horus amulets. His secret stash of crushed lapis pigment winks from a mussel shell, relics from when Coptic monks supplied Timbuktu's blue inks. Dawn fingers through the pergamentary, gilding dust motes into fleeting constellations. The deed's final line dries as the muezzin's first Allahu Akbar shakes the inkwell. Your spine crackles like papyrus as you stand, 18 hours etched into calfskin and the crook of your thumb. The chief scribe inspects your work, squinting at the ibis silhouette. His snort sends your stomach plummeting until he stabs a finger at your margin art. That the new style from Fez? You nod, pulse hammering. He grunts. Add more feathers next time. Exiting, you pass a novice etching punishment lines. His reed shakes. You drop a honey almond onto his desk. No eye contact. Solidarity smells like toasted sesame and the musk of unspoken screw-ups. Outside, stars blur through exhaustion's haze. Your knuckles brush the library's ancient doorframe, worn smooth by 9 centuries of scholars doing this same tired shuffle. Some say the wood came from Sindbad's ship. You're too sleep-deprived to care. The ink still humming in your veins tastes like legacy and bad decisions. 2 more deeds due at noon. Your bed beckons with the siren song of a 3-hour nap, its sheets permanently stained indigo from late-night brainstorming. You've learned the hard way. Never proofread while lying down. Halfway home, a nightingale screams in a fig tree, or maybe it's just the muezzin's cousin practicing. Either way, your shoulders tighten. That sound will haunt tomorrow's transcription work, guaranteed. The 12th century poet who compared scribes to martyrs wasn't wrong. Both end up with terrible posture and a caffeine kinship. Your door creaks open, the hinge still protesting last month's ill-advised olive oil fix. The mattress swallows you whole. As dreams drag you under, phantom reeds scratch against the inside of your eyelids. In the haze, you realize tomorrow's deeds probably required 3 witnesses' seals. Too late now. Sleep comes anyway, thick as uncut lamp black. You slump onto a sagging cushion. Sunlight fractures through the tea shop's pierced brass windows. A clay cup clinks into your palm. Mint steam fogs your lashes before you sip. Heat blooms down your throat, a defibrillator for the sleep-deprived. The bookseller beside you unfurls a ledger. On his knees dates and debts, inked in saffron. Drank with Mansa Musa's treasurer once, he mutters, tapping an entry. Man paid for 3 camels with 2 peppercorns and a compliment. Historians still argue whether Malian tea tariffs funded the Sankore University repairs. But you're too busy fishing date pulp from your molars to care. Across the low table, an old binder peels tamarind paste off his thumb. They found ambergris in a caravan last week, he wheezes. Fool merchants used it to waterproof Quran pages. You nearly choke. That lump of whale vomit could buy 6 workshops. The binder winks, smearing resin across a bread crust. Tastes like firewood and bad decisions. Your pinky brushes a scorch mark on the table, legacy of a coffee house, debate about Ibn Khaldun's haircut. Steam curls off your tea like gossiping ghosts, carrying scraps of conversation. A carpet trader insists Janae's mud bricks contain phoenix ashes. A spice merchant swears he once packed cinnamon so pure it resurrected a mummified cat. Sunlight catches your cup's glaze, the same indigo that blues Timbuktu's doors against evil spirits. You trace a chipped rim, centuries of lips have softened this edge. Someone mentions Songhai salt taxes. Another grumbles about Andalusian paper prices. Your eyelids dip, the tea's warmth pooling in your collarbones. A bead curtain rattles. The tea master strides in his brass tray piled with sugar cones. He breaks off a nugget with silver tongs, dropping it into your cup. For the scribe who mendied my ancestors' land grant, he murmurs. Melted gold swirls through the mint, sweetness seeping into your knuckle joints. You nod thanks, throat too tight for courtesies. The debate crescendos beside you. So the Sultan's astrologer mixed lion fat into the ink. No, it was ground meteorite. Read Al-Biruni's. Al-Biruni ate scorpions for breakfast, and you know it. A date pit pings off your forehead, the binder's doing, judging by his snort. You lob a cumin seed back, it vanishes into his beard. The bookseller slams his ledger, dust motes explode into a miniature sandstorm. Enough. Did any of you actually see the fall of Constantinople? Silence. He smirks, licking his thumb to turn a page. Exactly. Now pass the cardamom. Stories rise and crumble like sugar in hot water. A leather worker claims Genghis Khan's horse ate his great-great-granduncle's favorite sandal. A dyer insists her aunt charmed a jackal into guarding indigo vats. Your teacup empties and refills, each pour erasing minutes until your next shift. Through the steam, you spot the mapmaker's daughter at the counter, a linen-wrapped bundle under her arm. Your eyes meet. She tilts her head toward the docks, later maybe. If the marabouts don't need evening star charts, you run a thumb over your cup's crack, pretending your pulse hasn't kicked into a gallop. The tea master rings a bronze bell, time's up. Coins clink into his copper basin. You overpay. As always, his grandfather taught you to mend vellum after that ink poisoning incident. He slips an extra sugar cone into your sleeve. For the nightmares, he whispers. Mint oil hangovers are no joke. Outside, heat slaps your face, sunlight now sharp enough to slice papyrus. The binder shuffles past, still picking cumin from his beard. That ambergris, he wheezes without turning. smuggled it out in a pregnant goat. You snort a perfect bullseye for the sparrow watching from a clay gutter. Workshop roofs glare in the white noon. Each ripple in the clay tells a story of monsoon failures and patched leaks. You step over a shattered ink bottle. Someone's morning is ruined. The taste of mint lingers, a cooling counterpoint to the dust, coating your molars. 3 apprentices dart past, clutching reed bundles like battlefield spears. 1 shouts a joke about Moroccan glue. You catch the punchline as the tannery gate slams shut. Laughter feels alien in your jaw, a muscle long since claimed by silence and precision. Your shadow stretches toward the scriptorium, a stretched out version of yourself, all limbs and ambiguity. Somewhere beyond those walls, a fresh vellum sheet awaits, untouched, unblemished, already hungry for your ink-stained mistakes. The tea's warmth lingers in your belly, a temporary armor against the blade-sharp nibs and sharper critiques. A familiar ache sprouts between your shoulder blades, right where Ibn Sina claimed the soul's wings connect. You roll your neck, tendons popping like distant thunder. Somewhere a donkey brays, offended by existence itself. The sound harmonizes with the scriptorium's eternal scratch, 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 a lullaby for the chronically overqualified. You pause under a cedar awning. Its shadow line divides your face into hemispheres. One side still savors stolen sugar. The other tastes tomorrow's exhaustion already. They say Timbuktu's streets memorize your footsteps. You hope they're kind enough to forget yours. A bead seller blocks your path, rattling a tray of lapis and carnelian. For protection, she insists, rub them on contracts, keeps the lawyers honest. You swerve left, she pivots like a seasoned courtier. Or for love, rub them on his doorframe. The mapmaker's daughter's laugh echoes in your skull. You escape with 2 fistfuls of dignity and 0 talismans. The scriptorium gate looms, its iron spikes gnawing at the sun. You touch the sugar cone in your sleeve. Crush it now for courage, or save it for the 3 p.m. crash. Decisions, decisions. A fly buzzes past your ear, probably the same one that baptized your inkwell. You consider swatting it. Too much effort. Inside, the foreman glares at your tea-stained tunic. His nostrils flare, a bloodhound catching the scent of reduced productivity. You open your mouth to explain. He raises 1 finger. Wisdom dictates retreat. Sidestepping into your alcove, you find a fresh reed waiting, its nib already split to perfection. The mapmaker's daughter's bundle winks from a shelf. Maybe tonight, maybe never. Ink meets vellum, a reunion of old enemies. Your tea-cooled hand moves smoother, betraying none of yesterday's tremors. Steam still ghosts your vision, or is that exhaustion? Doesn't matter. The letters form anyway obedient soldiers marching toward a paycheck. Somewhere a cup clinks. Somewhere a goat coughs up ambergris. Somewhere far away your bed weeps alone. The nib snags a split-second rebellion. You exhale mint into the parchment's pores. Compromise always. The reed obeys. Hot sugar trickles down your wrist. Somewhere between the steam and the surrender, the work gets done. The blade's edge catches sunlight, a sliver of liquid fear in the apprentice's grip. You steady her wrist without touching, palms hovering like prayer wings over scorched parchment. Everyone remembers their first gilding. 5th century Ajami script glimmering under trembling hands. Gold leaf sticking to sweat instead of page. She sucks air through her teeth, a novice's mistake. The adhesives already drying. You nod toward the agate burnisher. Its river-smoothed belly waits on sheepskin. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's guilds mined Saharan meteorites for their iron content. But right now, the only celestial body here is the apprentice's forehead, beating like monsoon glass. Pressure, not prayer, you murmur. The blade dips too shallow. Gold flakes scatter like cowardly fireflies. A wasted dinar's worth clings to her sleeve. Across the workshop, someone snickers into a glue pot. You shoot them a look sharp enough to slice vellum. Silence snaps taut. Her next stroke bites true. Gold melts across the page, Kufic curves, blooming under the burnisher's rhythmic caress. She exhales, your own breath unwinds in tandem. That polished agate traveled the Niger on a salt trader's hip. Now it coaxes stars from mineral and muscle memory. The foreman's shadow looms. He squints at the gleaming verticals, hums a non-committal note. Better than your first try, he lies. You recall your debut. A gilded hiccup that cost 3 weeks' wages. The shame still itches behind your kneecaps during sandstorms. Applause erupts from the ink-mixing station, a pomegranate red welcome for the new gold leaf batch. The apprentice beams, a dangerous expression. Pride warps pages faster than humidity. You tap the blade's spine against a water stain. Her smile dims appropriately. Quills rustle like grass snakes in nearby alcoves. Someone lights a sandalwood coil. Its smoke braids with the tang of rabbitskin glue. You point to the catch jar where rogue gold flakes swirl in vinegar. Rescue 3 specks, you assign. Her grimace mirrors yours from circa 19 winters past. Through the workshop's dust-hazed window, the mapmaker's daughter unfolds a star chart on a rooftop. The apprentice follows your gaze, misreads it completely. Think gilding's hard. Try carving celestial maps into lambskin. You deflect. Her nods so earnest, you almost forgive her for existing. The foreman returns with a cracked ostrich, Egg Guild's traditional first guild trophy. Murmurs rise like steam from ironing boards. The apprentice freezes, egg in one hand, blade in the other. You cough twice. She remembers to bow. Guild politics demand patience, but your coccyx demands a cushion. Dusk stains the air lilac when she finally leaves, clutching her egg like a smuggled sapphire. You sweep gold dust into a date pit's crescent shadow. One speck glints rebelliously later. You'll press it into the apprentice's washroom wall. Let them wonder which master left this breadcrumb. A moth kamikazes into your lantern. Its crisp silhouette joins the constellations on the ceiling, your own private star map. Somewhere beyond these walls, the blade's metallic tang still haunts the apprentice's palms. Somewhere closer, your cot groans under the weight of tomorrow's mistakes. You blow out the flame, gold letters glow briefly in the afterimage, seared onto tired retinas like reluctant promises. A moth's wing crumbles under your thumb. Its dust mingles with gold residue still coating your cuticles. The first warnings come through shudders, not sound, but vibration. Wooden slats chatter like teeth against their iron hinges. You press a palm to the wall. Warm adobe hums with approaching fury. Dust devils spin stories as they form. Some say they're jinns arguing over camel bones. You know better. It's just wind with commitment issues. Canvas drapes billow as apprentices scramble linen, snapping like sailcloth on a ghost ship. One kid tries wading a tarp with his lunchbox. Dates roll everywhere. Tiny brown escape artists fleeing the storm. Your workstation becomes a battleground. Parchment fights to levitate. Corner weights slide like cowardly chess pieces. You pin a rebellion of loose folios with a brick from Mansa Musa's era. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's storms were seen as curses or purifications. Right now, they're just bad for business. Sand infiltrates everything. It grinds between molars, coats glue pots, turns ink to mud. Someone's forgotten to latch the dye vats. Indigo swirls into storm air, a temporary tattoo for the western wall. You sacrifice a silk scarf to plug the gap. Its frayed edges dance a defiant jig in the gale. The mapmaker's daughter appears hair wrapped like a Bedouin, arms full of sodden linen. She hurls bolts of fabric across workbenches with the precision of a ballista crew. Camel hair cloth saved entire libraries during the 1591 Moroccan invasion. You've read the scrolls. Still, witnessing its deployment feels like watching history peel from vellum into flesh. Secure the debtor's shelf. The foreman bellows. Unpaid manuscripts flap their pages, angry seagulls trapped indoors. You duck as a Quranic fragment swoops past. Its gilded margin nicks your earlobe. Blood meets sand. The resulting mud could birth a new nation. Lightning cracks the sky for one impossible moment. Every surface glitters. Gilded letters burn silver. Embossed leather shivers like living skin. Then darkness slams back deeper than before. The apprentice's collective gasp smells of panic and peppermint oil. Your fingers find the crumpled page corner by muscle memory. The storm mutters, insults through chinking shutters. Scholars think medieval Saharans used wet silk to mend parchments mid-sandstorm. You've tried it. It works, mostly. The real trick is breathing through your nose while doing calculus on humidity levels. A sand-encrusted tarp slaps your calf. Its hemp ropes bite through wool leggings. Through squinted eyes, you spot the new apprentice. She's using a bone folder to shovel drifts from a Mali Empire-era ledger. Smart kid, you toss her a goatskin flask. She catches it midair. hydration, and hazard pay in one gesture. Dust coats your tongue like stale baklava. Somewhere beneath the howling, the workshop pulses, a heartbeat of slamming shutters and Arabic profanities. You press harder on the page's crease. Time bends, or maybe it's just your knees protesting. Centuries ago, workers here whispered spells into storm winds. You mouth the words experimentally. The gale spits sand down your collar. In reply, a rogue gust rips the scarf from the dye vat. Indigo arcs across the room. It splatters the foreman's favorite ledger, turns his meticulous numbers into abstract art. His scream harmonizes with the storm. You bite your cheek. Humor in chaos keeps the mind supple, or so claimed that drunken geomancer who visited last Ramadan. The eye arrives unannounced. Sudden silence rings louder than bells. 11 apprentices freeze mid-cringe. Outside, stars blaze through airborne silt, a disco ball for the damned. Someone giggles. The foreman snaps a reed pen in half. Then, reprise. The storm's second act lacks originality, but not vigor. Your page survives, its crease now ruler straight. Historians will someday call this craftsmanship. You call it stubbornness, with better PR. The workshop groans, a living thing testing its joints. Somewhere, a tea-stained map of the Niger turns itself into origami. When at last the winds retreat, the air hangs pregnant with suspended grit. You release the page, it floats down like a feather from a very dirty bird. Each breath tastes of defeat and a drawer sandstone. The foreman surveys the carnage, dye-speckled, sand-drunk, gloriously alive. He barks orders already dissolving in the residual haze. You linger. One finger traces the page's edge smooth as a caravanserai. Well, after midnight, storms pass. Books remain. The desert outside sighs, already plotting its next audition. Some apprentices will recount this night for decades. You're already diagnosing water damage on a 14th century agricultural manual. Time bends around your focus like vellum around a bookbinder's frame. The copper ruler bites into your palm, its edge oxidizing against your storm-damp skin. Geometry demands worship here. You align the bookboard's corner. 8 generations of craftsmen whisper through your fingertips. Did you know Ottoman bookbinders used trigonometry tables hidden in Quran margins? Their angles still out-precise European protractors. Your nail tests the joint. Imperceptible gap. Unacceptable. A sliver of goat skin wedges into the space. Nature abhors a vacuum, but bookbinders abhor crooked spines. The foreman's ledger lies nearby. Its indigo splatter now resembles the Niger's winding course. You resist adding a compass rose in correction fluid. Mali Empire covers favored right angles, not for aesthetics, but survival. A 15th century manual insists proper angles repel silverfish better than any herb. Modern experts scoff. You've watched larvae turn from your 89-degree corners like vampires from garlic garlands. Glue bubbles pop, beneath your smoothing stone. Scholars still argue whether Timbuktu's geometric designs held coded maps to gold mines. The real treasures in your hands, starch paste simmered for 3 moons, strained through bridal linen. Peel a dried glob, it snaps clean, perfection. Your knee cracks as you rise. The storm left your joints full of phantom sand. Shelves display half-finished covers, their arabesques frozen mid-sprout. One apprentice's attempt looks like a love letter written by spiders. You tweak the pattern, symmetry restored through strategic pinholes. The ruler warms in sunlight, sneaking through cracked shutters. 14th century builders designed Timbuktu's Sankore Mosque using this same copper. Or so claims the workshop elder. You tap the metal. It hums differently than modern alloys. Maybe truth lives in vibrations, not archives. A crash echoes from the dye vats. Someone's rediscovering gravity's laws the hard way. Your focus holds. This covers for a Tuareg prince's poetry collection, accordion folds that unfold like desert roses. Each crease must survive camelback journeys and jealous courtiers. Your bone folder hesitates, hidden compartments were all the rage in Songhai royal bindings, tucked prayers, poison vials, locks of lovers' hair. This prince's commission specifies no surprises. You add one anyway, a microscopic cavity behind the doubler for emergencies. Adhesive overkill, a rookie mistake. The excess paste oozes like a lazy snail. You catch it with gilder's tips before it stains the marbled paper. 3 rapid heartbeats. Crisis averted. Your mentor's ghost nods approvingly in your peripheral vision. A shadow looms, the foreman squints at your angles. His calloused finger traces the joint. Grunt. Approval. He slaps down a new commission, water-damaged pages reeking of shipwreck and myrrh. The cover's dimensions defy Euclid. You smile. Finally, an interesting problem. Waxed thread sings through all punched holes. Some claim Moorish bookbinders encoded plague cures in cover geometries. You doubt it, but check the angles anyway, 15 degrees off. Just warped wood. Still, you file the anomaly in mental archives. Tea arrives, mint steam softens the glue pot stench. The cup's rim aligns perfectly with a shelved cover's curve. Coincidence. You rotate the saucer. The alignment holds. Centuries of muscle memory brew better than any leaves. Night creeps in, oil lamps turn rulers into glowing ribs of some light beast. Your final joint passes inspection. The cover sits square and silent, geometric perfection. You etch a tiny mark beneath the turn-in, your signature dissolved into decoration. Tomorrow's project waits, a child's primer with edges rounded like ancient Kumbai sale coins. But tonight belongs to right angles and the quiet heresy of permanence. The desert bats its sandy lashes against the windows. You don't blink. The sun climbs higher. Its heat turns clay tiles into baking stones beneath your sandals. Lunch arrives in a woven basket. Flatbreads still steaming from the communal oven. You balance a ledger on one knee, its pages a mosaic of ochre thumbprints and cryptic symbols. Historians still argue whether these marks tracked salt caravans or poets' royal patrons. Your wager? Both, plus a few gambling debts from the die master's backroom dice games. The first bite crumbles, sesame seeds catch in the ledger's creases. 14th century Malian accountants used this same sesame and honey bread as erasers. The evidence stains every third page. You lick fig pulp from your thumb. The sweetness almost masks the ink's metallic aftertaste. A red symbol glistens where your finger smeared, now resembling a dromedary in mid-sneeze. Not your worst ledger art. A shadow falls across the page. The spice trader's daughter drops a lavender sachet into your lap. Her family's tab has 97 symbols. You add 98, interest compounded in jasmine petals. She smiles. The ledger's secrecy outlives empires. Your grandmother's code included doodles of troublesome clients as dung beetles. Tradition deserves updates. The workshop cat bats at your breadcrumb-dotted line trail. Its collar jingles with Roman coins, booty from a Venetian. Merchants ill-advised dig near the old necropolis. Scholars puzzle over how imitation denarii reached the Sahel. You've seen the cat bury worse. Its latest treasure, a French bishop's signet ring, circa yesterday. Mid-chew, you spot an anomaly, a symbol shaped like a pregnant hippo. Only one debtor used that mark. The mad alchemist who paid in powdered meteorite. His debt's twin crescents indicate he now owes 2 camels or 1 concubine. Ledgers never clarify intentionally. Ambiguity oils the gears of commerce. Your stylus hovers over a disputed charge, 3 jars of fermented goat milk. The herder insists hieroglyphs showed 3 dots. Your mark had 4. A bead of sweat blurs the count. Desert logic prevails, split the difference, and charge him an extra chicken. Fairness tastes better roasted. The ledger's spine cracks, a century of secrets spilling into midday light. Beneath your lunch stains lies proof Mansa Musa's hairdresser took a loan against future beard glitter royalties. True story. The interest alone built a suburb of Gao. You trace the glitter's symbol, a star vomiting gold dust, extravagance immortalized in squid ink. Wind flips pages to last week's entry, a sketch of the librarian's new toupee. His payment, a salter bound in hyena hide. The drawing's accuracy earned you a complimentary scorpion in your boot. Worth it. The hyena binding outshone your best marbling, though it growled during prayers. A crumb lodges in your molar, sensory time travel to age 8. You stole ledger pages to fold into camels. The Tor's tanning rack accident still smarts. Now you repair those same scorched pages. Life's a librarianship, a robberos. The camel folds. Legend says one still roams the storeroom. You leave non-scraps just in case. The fig's last smear clings to a shipwreck entry, symbols for drowned silk and surviving cinnamon. Underwater archaeology confirms sunken Dow cargoes match these codes. The peppercorn counts precise. If you ignore the sea's nibbled margins, your fingerprint transforms a drowned sailor's tally into a half-finished mermaid. Occupational hazard. Sunlight shifts. The ledger's shadows stretch into XI-th century numerals. Lunch hours over. You snap the book shut. Centuries compress into a leather gasp. Secret histories rattle inside like loose teeth. The cat drags away your bread remnants, a fuzzy archaeologist preserving this era's crumbs for posterity. Or breakfast, you wipe fig residue on your apron. Its stains outnumber the ledger's symbols now. The dye vat beckons, a waist-high clay urn murmuring with lukewarm indigo. Historians love citing Timbuktu's blue pages as proof of medieval globalization, never mentioning the stench. Your nose wrinkles. Fermented urine binds pigment to parchment, a fact omitted from museum plaques. A master dyer once told you camel piss works best, though you've noticed his apprentices volunteering for water duty. The stirring rod fits your palm, its oak worn smooth by 37 generations of spirals. Count them. The current dyer claims 89. His predecessor insisted 64. Math dissolves here like saffron in hot broth. You breach the vat's iridescent film. The sludge underneath glistens like crushed beetles. Which it might be. Scholars still argue whether Malian dyers used cochineal before Spanish conquests. Your recipe, whatever the desert provides, last Tuesday featured a suspiciously red lizard. Rhythm matters. 12 clockwise stirs, pause, 3 counter. The liquid thickens, threads of dye braiding into syrup. Too fast, and bubbles form tiny voids that shimmer and betray. Your 8th grade pottery skills resurface. Centering clay feels eerily similar. Neither ended well. A glob sails over the rim. The cat hisses at its newly azure paw. Message received. You slow down. Sunlight slants through the vat's opaline surface. Geometric patterns ripple across your arms. Some claim these designs held coded messages for Sufi mystics. Your foreman calls it the boredom talking. Yet here you are tracing a hexagon that mirrors the great mosque's windows. Coincidence. The vat belches. A perfect circle blooms. It winks at you. You stir faster. The first page goes in a reluctant baptism. Fibers drink greedily white parchment, transmuting to celestial blue. Wait too long, and it's overkill, the color of choked twilight. Timing's everything. You hum an Al-Haji tune, 3 verses equal perfect saturation. Supposedly, that one smudged page suggests the method needs tweaking. Or better lyrics. Sweat drips off your chin. Indigo droplets join the dust in temporary tattoos. A bead lands on the vat's rim, forming a shape like Carthage's harbor. Appropriate. Phoenician traders brought the first indigo seeds here, or was it Libyan merchants? The debate fuels academic careers. Your career fuels this vat. Priorities. Something brushes your calf, the cat, now striped indigo and contempt. Its expression screams malpractice lawsuit. You toss a date pit, it bounces off the urn. The sound echoes like a poorly tuned kora. Music scholars would weep. You'll weep if the foreman spots that dent. Quick, swirl the rod to disguise the damage. Artistry through misdirection. Your sleeve dips into the vat. Fabric drinks its weight in blue. By sundown, you'll match the apprentices' mottled arms. Their nickname for newcomers, Smurfs of the Sahel. You used to laugh. Now you're the punchline. Karma's palette remains consistent. A breeze riffles the drying lines. Azure pages snap like unrolled maps of the sky. Each sheet holds potential Quranic verses, love poems, grocery lists. The dye preserves them all equally. Immortality smells like ammonia. You fish out a page, its edges curl like a sultan's slipper. Perfect. Another. The center's suspiciously phallic. Sell it to the erotic geometry collectors across the square. The rod slips, liquid spirals into a Fibonacci sequence. A Renaissance obsession, yet here it blooms in pre-colonial Africa. Credit Leonardo da Vinci. He owes you royalties. The pattern fades, history remains a thief. You carve your initials into the rod, a futile protest. The vat swallows the evidence. Shadows lengthen, indigo transforms from ocean to void. One last page. You dunk it backwards, rejecting tradition. The result, a gradient said to mimic the horizon at winter solstice. Or a botched job. Depends who's buying. You'll price it as experimental and blame Andalusian influences. Pretension pays. Foreman's footsteps crunch gravel. You lift the rod, a blue icicle dripping time. He eyes the vat's level, calculating tonight's profit in squinted fractions. His nod costs nothing. You accept payment in silence. The cat rubs against his leg, traitor. Your sleeve leaves a cerulean streak on his robe. Small victories. Moonlight hits the vat. The surface hardens into a cobalt mirror. You peer in the face. Staring back isn't yours. No, it's the real dyer, a 14-year-old girl from 1321. She winks. You've inhaled too many fumes. Time to clock out. The walk home elongates, each step leaving indigo footprints that glow faintly, hallucinations or ancestral graffiti. The night guards will judge come dawn. The indigo still clings between your fingernails, blue-black crescents that mock your scrubbing. Raw skin protests where the all slipped yesterday, new blisters rising to meet gilded leather. Historians wax poetic about cedar oil preserving Egyptian scrolls. They never mention how it burns in open cuts. You smear the amber liquid anyway, pine resin sharpness, overwhelming the iron tang of blood. A 10th century manual suggested adding crushed rose petals. You tried it once. Mice ate the binding. Needlework resumes, stitches biting through gazelle hide. Your hands move on memory alone, 16 stitches per inch, the same count found in Mamluk Qurans. Or was it 18? Scholars still argue whether scribes standardized measurements or just eyeballed it. You eyeball the last 3, close enough for government work. If governments cared about bookbinding, which they don't, a loose thread snakes from the spine, tempting fate. You attack it with bone scissors. Too hard. The blade nicks a page edge, a minuscule moon-shaped gouge. Salvageable. Call it celestial weathering and charge extra. The Moroccan merchant downstairs invented that term. His beard hides a hustler's grin. You're learning. The clasp glints, a bronze scarab forged by the metalworker's quarter. Its wings are supposed to fold symmetrically. One juts upward, a drunk seagull mid-crash. You force it shut. The snap echoes up your arm bones, a satisfying crunch. Archaeologists would weep over the bend. Let them. Perfection died with the 5th caliphate. Warmth spreads through your palm, the final knot swelling with trapped sweat. A drop plops onto the cover. Blot quickly. Leave it. Either way, some grad student will dissect that stain in 2300. Ritual libation, they'll declare. You know better. Perspiration has no poetry. Thread ends need trimming. Your knife slips, slicing air instead of hemp. 3 tries later, you remember the foreman's advice. Pretend it's your lover's hair. Weirdly effective. The fibers part like silk. You'll never admit he was right. Pounding starts downstairs. The typesetter's apprentice hammering errors out of lead. Each thud mirrors your heartbeat. 2 professions united by corrective violence. If philosophers visited workshops, they'd write treatises on this. Instead, they debate whether authentic leather requires goat genitalia. Spoiler, it doesn't. But don't tell the Venetian collectors. The finished tome weighs heavy, a brick of secrets. You test the spine's flex. It creaks like an old ship. Perfect. Stiff bindings crack, limp ones sag. This Goldilocksian sweet spot, pure luck. You'll credit ancestral techniques in the invoice. Moonlight catches the edge of your blade, a flash across the scarab's wings. That bent joint could be genius. Functional art. Or a future PhD's footnote. Unskilled labor in post-Mansa Musa economies. Either way, it's done. Blisters throb in celebration. You flex your hand, a puppet with cut strings. The cat saunters over, tail aloft. It sniffs the leather, sneezes, retreats. Brutal critic, your laugh comes out a wheeze. 3 days without sleep. Worth it. Ask when the advance clears. Footsteps approach clogs on stone. Foreman's shadow engulfs the workbench. He flips through pages too fast to read. Lingers on the celestial weathering. Grunts. Withholds praise, but takes the book. His silence costs nothing. Your rent thanks him. Dawn leaks through shutters. The clasps, bronze dulls in tentative light. Another one survived. You press your forehead to the workbench, wood grain imprinting lazy constellations. Dreams tug at your sleeve. Let them wait. The debtor's shelf won't empty itself. But for this breath, this single indigo-stained moment, you float. Footsteps echo differently here, softer than the foreman's boots. You recognize the cadence before she turns the corner. The mapmaker's daughter walks like someone balancing a manuscript on her head, which she probably did this morning. Her linen bundle leaves a trail of fiber ghosts in the air. Historians love debating whether Timbuktu's cartographers used giraffe hide or gazelle intestine for waterproofing. Neither. You've seen her father boil sturgeon bladders in clay pots. She sets the parcel down without ceremony. Sunlight catches the protective oil coating. It shimmers like beetle wings. You half expect it to skitter away. The knot unravels under her quick fingers. Creamy sheets emerge, parchment, so thin you could read through it. If anyone here could read. 18, she says. No hello. You've known her since sandcastle building age. She still counts every transaction aloud. Your pinky brushes hers during the handoff. A marketplace ritual older than salt caravans. Her calluses mirror yours. Little deserts on otherwise smooth terrain. The top sheet bears faint grid lines. Cartographers once embedded star charts into mundane maps. Constellations hidden beneath city streets. Reverse constellations, they called them. You've heard whispers about coded pathways to Molly's gold mines. This looks like a grocery list. She lingers, a rarity. Her braids sway as she studies your latest binding. You've seen her copy border designs into map legends. Father's adding a new oasis, she murmurs. Southwest quadrant. A pause. Don't tell the tax assessors. Acacia sap stains the parchment's edge emergency adhesive. You scrape it off with a thumbnail. The piece snaps free, bouncing across the floor. Both dive. Your skulls connect, a hollow coconut sound. She laughs first. You taste bile. Laughter feels foreign in this dust. The salvaged scrap reveals half a word. Rick could be part of Tariq or Farik or Inkwell. Historians still argue whether medieval scribes intentionally misspelled names to confuse rivals. You know the truth, tired hands, poor lighting, cheaper wine. She straightens, rubbing her crown. Your burnishing tools crooked. You glance at the accused all. Perfectly straight, mapmakers. Always nitpicking right angles, says the woman who drew Marrakesh inside a rhombus. You counter. Her smirk admits nothing. The sheets smell of tamarind paste and panic. Parchment makers soak hides in fruit enzymes, dissolves hair without stinking up the neighborhood. Quirky fact. The recipe's secret died with a eunuch chef in 1324. His tombstone simply reads he knew the ratio. She departs as wordlessly as she came. The bundle leaves a rectangle of clean stone where it lay, a negative space map. You press your palm over it, still warm, threading waxed linen through fresh pages. You notice a blurred symbol, a compass rose beneath the watermark. 4 petals instead of 8. Deliberate. Accident. You'll never ask. Some questions live longer unanswered. The needle pierces the mark, burying it between layers. Your elbow knocks over the inkwell. Again. Indigo pools around a sheet's corner, serendipitous ocean for the compass. Wasted pigment climbs your forearm. By noon, you'll look like a half-finished tattoo. The foreman's shadow darkens your workspace. Priority job. He drops a cracked reed pen on the parchment. A diplomat's seal dangles from its shaft, official summons or dinner invitation. Hard to tell with bureaucrats. You nod. He lingers. And fix your hair. When did it escape its tie? Strands stick to the ink. You blow upward, a futile cyclone. The parchment rustles in response. Muttering, you twist your hair into a knot. 3 attempts. 2 hairpins lost to the floor gods. High noon bleaches the workshop white. The parchment seems thinner now, translucent as onion skin. You hold it to the light. Fibers swirl like desert winds. Half-visible ink whispers along the grain. For a heartbeat, words resolve, left at the crooked minaret. Then gone. Heat hallucination or mapmaker's prank. Either way, not your business. Stomach growls demand attention. Your lunch satchel holds figs and regret. You split a fig with the knife. Juice clings to the compass rose. Sweetness amplifies the parchment's tannin bitterness. A metaphor. Nah, just breakfast. She returns at twilight, unexpected. No bundle this time. A correction. Her finger stabs a spot near the spine. That's a river, not a road. You squint. The squiggle resembles both. Add 2 tributaries, she orders. Blue ink. I don't do restorations after sunset. Lie. Half your work happens by candlelight. She arches an eyebrow mastered at age 7 during the great fig heist. You relent. Ultramarine powder mixes with vinegar. The scent prickles your sinuses. Brush hovering, you hesitate. Why blue? She watches the pigment drip. People trust blue lines. Makes them feel heard. Deep. Or she's messing with you. Either way, the river grows azure veins. Her shoulder brushes yours as she inspects the work. Childhood proximity never felt this electric. Maybe it's the sleep deprivation. Maybe the vinegar fumes. She nods approval, the tiniest dip of her chin. Your pulse shouldn't spike. It does. Night birds replace marketplace cries. The river dries crispy. You secure the clasp, metal teeth biting linen threads. She's already at the door. No goodbye, just the shuffle of soles on sand-polished stone. Your nail traces the hidden compass rose. Petals bloom under touch, or maybe that's the lamp's flicker. Blisters protest. Ink stains linger. Somewhere, a cartographer draws a tiny workshop beside a newly blue river. It's enough. The gilding brush trembles not from fatigue, but the weight of what you're about to bury. Gold leaf clings to calfskin vellum like sunlight trapped in amber. 4 petals instead of 8. Always 4. Compass roses once guided Andalusian sailors to Timbuktu's ports. Now they'll point some future scholar toward what? A smudge of glue. Your lunch crumbs. You press harder. The petal's edge flares, a perfect razor-sharp curve, not bad for recycled book cloth. When Mansa Musa's libraries burned in 1375, survivors stashed covers inside altar bricks. Historians think they're lost. You've rebound 3 this month alone. Your all nicks the margin, a hairline rift. Perfect. Every invitation needs a door. The silk thread cinches tight, swallowing the blemish. Some say medieval scribes hid heresies in plain sight, weaving dissent into floral patterns. Others claim they just liked pretty things. The truth probably written under tomorrow's spilled ink. A shadow falls across the workbench. The spice merchant's son again. He pretends to inspect papyrus rolls. You watch his reflection in the polishing stone. Need something? The astrolabe treatise. My father's records mention silver clasps. No clasps on astronomy texts. You flip the book, revealing its naked spine. Company policy. His finger strays toward the compass rose. You slide a lead weight between his hand and the vellum. Protection or pettiness? Let the apprentices debate it later. He retreats, sulking. You wait for his perfumed cloud to dissipate cinnamon and poor decisions. The compass winks under lamplight. 4 petals, 4 directions. 400 years from now, will someone peel back this leather and curse your name? A crackle underfoot. The rejected gold leaf clings to your sandal. Waste hurts worse than blisters. You rescue the fragment, pressing it over the central pivot point. Now the rose has a heart. Voices erupt near the dye vats. Another argument about indigo ratios. You tune them out, focusing on the ridge where leather meets page. Edge guilt hides most sins, not yours. The imperfect petal glares like a half-closed eye. Quill scratches accelerate in the corner. Old Mustapha's transcribing another trader's manifesto. His reed pen stutters over a word, caravanserai. You mouth it with him. The scriptoriums, walls absorbed, that word 16,000 times last dry season, more if you count the ledgers. The foreman's cough startles you. Priorities scroll from Jen. He drops a cylinder case smelling of fermented mud. And stop ruining good gold. You unroll the scroll carefully. Mildew blooms along its lower edge, a map's decayed shoreline. Compass roses here drown in decorative kelp. Cartographers once encoded trade routes in their petals' angles. Quirky fact, Sultan's spies used tulip-shaped ones during the spice embargo of 1450. Midnight oil smokes in its dish. You steady the brush. One stroke welds the final petal to its cradle. Symmetries overrated anyway, Leonardo da Vinci disagreed. Nina's latest correspondence. You've memorized her rants about Renaissance pedants. The rose resists closure. Its skewed axis mocks geometric ideals. Press harder, the leather buckles slightly. There, now future scholars can debate whether it's a drafting error or breadcrumb trail. Let them blister their tongues, arguing. Glue oozes between layers. You wipe the excess with your sleeve, another permanent addition to the studio's textile archives. Somewhere beneath Marseille or Mumbai, a version of you will find the stain and feel less alone. Wind rifles through unshuttered windows. Pages flutter in protest. You shield the compass rose with your palm. Its ridges imprint your skin, a temporary tattoo. Tomorrow's problem. Tonight, it stays perfect beneath the binding. Lamplight gilds the workshop's dust motes. Somewhere between breaths, the hidden rose becomes more real than your hands. Blink, the moment passes. Your finger traces the clandestine path from petal to edge. A road for borrowed tomorrows. The night watchman's lantern bleeds through rice paper walls. You freeze until his shadow dissolves. Silence returns, heavier now. The compass rose pulses beneath your thumbs, steady as a second heartbeat. Dawn's first sparrow lands on the windowsill. You snap the clasps shut. Gold leaf drifts downward, a lazy descendant of stars. Let them find it. Let them wonder. Dust motes float like spent incense around the ledger's open pages. Your pinky hovers above columns of silver symbols, each squiggle a promissory oath. Caravan masters swirl into the courtyard, their indigo robes hissing against sun-baked clay. You recognize Ibn's pigeon-toed stride before his voice cuts the haze. 20 skins of ostrich leather, he announces, for the usual fee minus incidentals. You don't glance up. Incidentals burned with the fest shipment. Your stylus etches a camel doodle beside his debt. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's book caravans transported more manuscripts or pepper. The ledger suggests both, plus a thriving side hustle in expired saffron. A coin pouch thuds onto the desk. Fatima drums her gold-ringed fingers beside it. The astrolabe manuals, unbound, bindings half the price. I'll risk sand damage. She leans closer, her henna'd curls reek of monsoon salt and desperation. Caribbean pirates sank her last shipment. Rumor says she's mortgaged 3 daughters. You count 17 coins. 14 short. The Malian mafia rate then. Her laugh carves new wrinkles. I taught your uncle that trick. She's not wrong. Pre-colonial West Africa had trade unions long before Europe, complete with pension plans and guild wine cellars. But explaining that would involve speaking. You push the pouch back. A sand cat yowls from the rafters. Everyone jumps. Fatima spills 5 extra coins. You pocket them before the clatter fades. Ostrich leather wasn't actually rare here. Musa's harem used it for slippers. But try telling that to Venetian buyers. Ibn slaps down a bolt of fabric. The alternative payment we discussed. You unroll the cloth. Greenish gold threads shimmer kobine silk from secret looms in Kong. Quirky detail. The weaver's work only during lunar eclipses. Myth says the dye comes from crushed scarab wings. You know it's just stale urine. Still, it'll triple your margin in Marrakesh. 3 manuals. 5. 3.5. He snaps the silk taut. 4, and I'll forget your tax dodges last monsoon. The ledger trembles under your palm. 13 years ago, a mudslide buried 3 tax collectors under your papyrus stockpile. Coincidence, but no need to test it. 4, you spit in your palm. He hesitates, then mirrors the gesture. Fatima groans. Barbaric. Old school, Ibn corrects. His grip crushes your knuckles. An apprentice once told you Songhai merchants sealed deals with scorpion stings. Thankfully, that trend died with the inventor. Dusk bleeds across the courtyard. Stars emerge one by one, celestial witnesses to centuries of haggling. You light the accounting lantern. Its green glass bathes the ledger in swampy light, turns silver coins into ghostly beetles. Sudanese traders arrive with muskox wool. You dismiss them with a flick of reed paper. Too bulky, too traceable. The Sicilian broker, lurking by the gate, catches your eye instead. He proffers a jade inkwell from the Kshuand emperor's own counterfeit. The glaze bubbles are too uniform. 9 dinars. 18. You scribble in the ledger's margin. 9, or I'll tell Naples about your Ming Dynasty faience. He pales. 10 coins materialize. Fatima watches, grudging respect tempering her scowl. I'll have the balance by Saturn's day, Venus's day, with interest. Her parting curse blends with the muezzin's call. You've heard nastier, once from a Serbian nun over a misprinted psalter. The ledger creaks as you turn the page. Debt tallies mutate into constellations. 2 more hours, and you'll have bartered enough to restock the whalebone folios or bribe the harbor master, whichever smells less fishy. A new shadow looms sweat-soured wool and ironed arrogance. Tuareg silver traders, you tense. Their founder once swindled an archbishop out of his mitre using a fake map of hell. Protocol demands niceties. The tallest flips a coin across his knuckles. 500 sheets of that mirage parchment. Camel-hide vellum. 90 sheets max. Imperial decree says emperor's got dysentery. Talk to me when he's shitting solid again. They exchange glances. The leader leans in, a crescent scar bisects his chin. 300. Or should we revisit your Nile flooding prediction errors? Your stylus snaps. 6 years ago, a forged hydrology report diverted 3 trade routes and saved 3 villages. You've buried worse. 200. Done. Their laughter follows them out. The scarred one pockets your stylus chunk as a trophy. Midnight oil chokes the lantern. You tally the day's take. 32 dinars, 7 bolts of dubious silk, a date palm sapling, and IOU from an Andalusian minstrel. Not terrible. The ostrich leather will cover Nunia's dowry. The silk maybe a new roof before the rains. A moth dives into the ledger's spine, eternal insomnia of bureaucrats. You flick it toward the window. The night watchman's flute trills somewhere beyond the dye pits. Stars blink down commerce's oldest collaborators. Slivers of conversations echo through the shutters. A Temazite curse, a donkey's indignant bray. The clop of hooves heading east toward markets where your ledgers will become lore. Your forehead meets the desk. Wood grain imprints eternity onto your skin, or until dawn's first customer arrives. The latest coin pouch slides off the ledger. Silver spills across the floor. You watch it gleam, a shattered constellation at your feet. Let the cleaners gossip. Tomorrow's problem. Tonight, it's just you and the calculus of how much honesty a camel can carry. Your needle hovers mid-stitch. Amber light bleeds through the workshop shutters. The night watchman's lantern swings past. Its glow crawls up your forearm like liquid honey. You hold your breath until the shadow of his spear retreats. Centuries ago, Timbuktu's guards burned Niger River fish oil in their lamps, stank like a cartographer's armpit, but deterred moths. Modernity smells better. Mostly. Leather glue tingles your nostrils as you resume stitching. Third Quran this week, this one bound in dyed goatskin someone claimed was lion hide. The forgery's obvious. Striped patterns don't work on spotted hyena pelts. Still, the client paid upfront. Let theologians debate authenticity. Your job's making spines lie flat. A cricket chirps from the debtor's shelf. You toss a breadcrumb toward the sound miss. It lands on an unopened scroll from Samarkand. Historians still argue whether those geometric diagrams are star maps or carpet-weaving guides. You'll never unseal it. Some secrets stay buried beneath 7 generations of dust. The lantern reappears this time, lingering on your door latch. Night watchman Mouse's habits fascinate you. Every third circuit, he pauses to groom his mustache, using the lantern's reflection. Every 7th pass, he feeds raw chickpeas to alley cats. Quirky fact: locals believed those felines carried the souls of drowned librarians. You've seen them puke up bookbinding thread close enough. Your awl slips, pricks your thumb. A crimson bead blooms on the Quran's spine. Perfect. Now it matches the lion hide's dubious provenance. You blot the blood with felt scrap, toss it into the brazier. Smoke curls into a question mark. Mouse's footsteps recede down the spice seller's alley. You relight your stubby candle, drip wax onto yesterday's ledger page to stabilize it. Rain smeared the ink last monsoon. Now debt totals look like drunk spiders danced through them. 47 dinars owed by a merchant who swore on his mother's grave. His mother sells oranges in Marrakesh. Still alive, silk thread snags on a hangnail. You chew it free, taste Ibn's Kobine silk, and regret. Should have charged extra for the urine smell. Outside, donkeys bray at the moon. Or maybe at Mouse's, off-key humming. He's murdering an old Saninke lullaby. Your grandmother used to sing it while embalming gazelle skins. The version you recall involved fewer flat notes. Thread snaps. You reknot it by feel, fingers memorizing the scripture's bumps under the leather. Somewhere, a drunk potter knocks over a vase. Somewhere, a scholar's wife burns midnight oil, correcting her husband's translations. City never sleeps, just takes naps between catastrophes. Mouse's lantern glints on a half-polished astrolabe. Brass fittings wink accusatory. That commission's 3 weeks overdue. You spin the reedy ring. It protests like a teething camel. Al-Biruni himself couldn't fix this warped nonsense, might pawn it off as battle damaged. Crusaders loved that aesthetic. A moth kamikazes into your candle. Wings crisping scent of irreplaceable manuscripts meeting fate. You rescue it with with a ledger page, toss both out the window. The moth flutters toward the dyer's quarter like a charred receipt. Your ledger scrap lands in a puddle, dissolves last month's lies. Starch paste bubbles over your burner. You stir it absently. It seizes into a glutinous blob. Fantastic. Now you've invented bookbinding papier-mâché. Maybe patent it, or blame the apprentice. Mouse's shadow stretches across your workstation again. You freeze, needle poised above suede. His snores echo 3 alleys over. Must finally collapsed into the spice sacks. Smart man. You melt stolen sealing wax over the Quran's clasp, press your ring into the blob. Family crest. Nah, just a doodle of a sleeping cat. Let future scholars debate its meaning. Dawn's first rooster crows. Your candle drowns in its own wax, puddles around a thimble like molten amber. Needlework done. Bloodstain dried. Forged lionhide Quran ready to baffle collectors. You blow grit from the cover. Somewhere, a greedy nobleman's yawn becomes your retirement fund. Mouse's lantern gutters out in the distance. You crack your knuckles, palms ready to argue with the sunrise crowd. Shadows retreat, taking their secrets with them. The city exhales. Another night's lies safely bound. The awl slips, your thumb meets page edge. A copper tang blooms beneath lamplight. Blotting felt soaks it up greedily. Someone once told you vellum drinks mistakes faster than sand swallows footsteps. 14th century bookbinders used sturgeon bladder glue for delicate repairs. Smells better than the donkey hoof paste they sold you last week. Your bloody thumbprint looks almost intentional, like those medieval monks who added wine stains to authenticate saints' biographies. Rain taps Morse code on the roof. You press harder. The stain ghosts through 3 pages. Byzantines believed blood-marked manuscripts warded off bookworms, doubt that applies to apprentices' clumsiness. A thread of spit on the blemish, scrubbed too hard now. There's a saliva-creased canyon running through Surah al-Fatiha. Historians still argue whether the Timbuktu bristle codex stains were ritual offerings or just snack crumbs. Night watchman Mouse's snores vibrate through the wall rhythm syncs with your sandal tapping. 3 more pages to reinforce. The blood spots drying rhombus shape now resembles Carthage's harbor layout. You trace imaginary triremes across its edges. Careful, your ring snags a fiber. That cheap Damascus gold alloy leaves green streaks on everything. Like inking pharaohs, tombs with radioactive paint. Your knife trims the felt patch, edges crisp, as Sultan Mansa Musa's diplomatic letters, too small. Now the repair looks like a mouse nibbled through Mecca. 3rd attempt, you cut a 6-pointed star. Hagia Sophia's architects used the same shape for hidden floor drains. Quirky fact, some claim those drains whispered heresies when rainwater poured through. You drop the star patch. It spins like a Sufi dervish before sticking. The brazier's embers mock you with their perfect redness. No accidental burns in their world. Your elbow knocks the inkwell indigo puddles around a date pit. Scoop it with a quill shaft. Write Arabic fa, Arabic hain, Arabic fa, Arabic rot, Arabic lamb, Arabic noon, Arabic alif in the margin freehand. Not bad for a left-handed scramble. That Moroccan calligrapher who sold you pigeon blood ink would faint or demand royalties. Moths orbit your lantern, wings dusting the workspace with powdered ambition. One lands on your wrist, you blow it toward the debtor's shelf. It chooses a ledger instead appropriate. Everyone here owes someone, even the insects. Thread snaps again. You reknot using the 3-loop method old Yosef taught you. His ghost probably cringes from paradise. The bloodstains' edges blur, time smoothing what panic etched. Historians will invent elegant stories about this blemish. You know better. Mouse's lantern flickers awake outside. You smear soot on the repair to age it. Dawn's first call to prayer ricochets through the Medina. The stain's now a shadow, a memory even vellum can't cradle. You snap the book shut. Somewhere a rooster crows. Somewhere a scholar unlocks a library door. Your thumb throbs in time with both. The page forgets. You won't. Candlelight warms the sheen of unused quills, their feathers tremor in your breath's draft. You tally each split tip. 7 of 17 need recutting. 14th century scribes soaked quills in vinegar for flexibility. Your jar's probably been refilled. Since Saladin besieged Jerusalem, a moth carcass floats in the solution. You fish it out, wings still fluttering the alphabet in death. Moonbeams stripe the debt ledger. Your fingertip follows columns of names, owed parchment, patience, petty silver. Someone once paid in chocolate-stuffed dates. The ledger still bears that sticky smudge. Historians still argue whether the great mosque's library ever accepted livestock as collateral. Your pinky traces a debtor's note. Awaiting monsoon, optimism smells like mold here. Candle wax pools around a chipped ink dish. The spill hardens into a miniature cityscape. You snap off a wax minaret. It crumbles like stale honeycake. 3 apprentices snore under the window. Their dreams leak into your count. 16 quills, 22 reed pens, 1 bronze stylus stolen from the Hellenic trader last spring. Your knife pares a goose feather too shallow. The nib splits like overripe fruit. 3rd try. Quirky fact. Carthaginian scribes believed cursed quills wrote prophecies in their sleep. You carve deeper. The curl of keratin becomes a perfect scoop. Olive oil polishes it gleaming. Tomorrow's letters will glide like silk. A bat collides with the shutter. The ledger pages flip themselves. 3 wax droplets blot the page in full column. You hiss through teeth. Tonight's tallies just became abstract art. The candlewick sputters. Shadows dance across papyrus rolls, stacked like drunken soldiers. You rub bergamot oil into your wrists. The sting keeps your eyes from fusing shut. Your sandal taps rhythms only stressed archivists recognize. 8 quills now viable, not enough for the Berber contracts due at dawn. A spider descends onto the ledger. You blow it toward the disputed section. Fair, Midnight wind sneaks through cracks, playful fingers scattering your counting pebbles. You swear they land in prime number formations. 5, 7, 11, no. That's a breadcrumb from yesterday's lunch. 14th century bookkeeping tip. Never snack where you work. The pebble for quarantined manuscripts rolls under the shelf. Let it stay lost. 3 candles left, each shorter than your resolve. One gutters out as you reach for gum arabic. The resin jar's crusted shut. You attack it with a chisel. Perspiration drips into your collar. Success smells like apricots and desperation. Your little finger tests the gum's tack. You leave a print on the ledger's edge. Let future scholars wonder. Your bench creaks. The sound harmonizes with the muezzin's first pre-dawn murmur. Bleeding bergamot greets the figs pressed between ledger pages. 2 candles now, smoke tendrils sketch forgotten numerals on the ceiling. You realign the styluses by bluntness. A cockroach inspects your quill pile. You grant it honorary clerk status. Its antennae twitch over the cheapest nibs. Discriminating pest. Dew seeps through the windowsill. The papyrus edges curl like shy lovers. You flatten them with warmed river stones. The ledger's ink bleeds. A tiny Nile delta creeps toward accounts receivable. Poetic, if it weren't your career floating downstream. 1 candle, its flame shrinks from the approaching dawn. The final quill cracks under your grip. 18 patched, 12 discarded. Somewhere a cockerel inhales. You rush the tally marks. Numbers blur into hen tracks. The last flame drowns in wax. Your thumbnail scrapes the residue. Milky light replaces gold. You carve your initials into the hardened pool, a time capsule for the next sleepless steward. Somewhere a hinge creaks. Somewhere a quill meets paper. Your spine unkinks itself by fractions. The inventory lies incomplete, a problem for the sun-drunk hours ahead. Blown out wicks perfume the air with finality. You rest your forehead on the cool stone floor. The math will keep your dreams paw at the ledger's frayed edges. Clerks' footsteps patter in the courtyard, their laughter chips at your fugue state. You wrote 17 quills as serviceable. Close enough. Historians forgive rounded edges. Your eyelids fall. Ink stains bloom against the dark. For 8 breaths, you're just another shadow in the scriptorium. Jasmine slaps your cheek as you doze, its petals still damp from dawn's watering. The gardener's laugh rumbles deeper than the irrigation channels beneath Timbuktu. Sleeping scribes breed smudged numerals. He chides, tossing another sprig onto your ink-stained ledger. You peel a leaf from your eyelid. Its veins mirror the map of the Niger River Delta. Medieval bookbinders packed herbs into codices to repel pests, though none matched this man's seal for floral warfare. His knuckles wrap the dead shelf, dried lavender showers from the trembling wood. Rosemary for memory, he declares, stuffing a fistful into a cracked spine. You croak a protest. The volume's borrower died 7 monsoons ago. Exactly, he grins. Makes creditors forget the deceased's tab. Historians still argue whether 14th century herbal sachets preserved pages, or just masked the stench of mildew. The jasmine's scent clings like guilt. You rub your neck, dislodging a caterpillar. It repels down your tunic via silk thread, nature's own bookbinder. Moorish herbalists once claimed night-blooming flowers stole ink potency. Hence this madman's dawn deliveries. You bite a petal, bitterness floods your tongue. Told you, he nods. Jasmine's no marzipan. He uncorks a gourd, something granular cascades across your desk. Cinnamon and crushed emerald, he whispers. You blink. Lichen, he admits. Same green, less papal taxes. The mixture smells like a bakery staffed by goblins. Mediterranean merchants peddled dragon's scale insect repellent. It was just diced pinecones soaked in urine. You opt for silence. Your pinky sweeps lichen, crumbs into the defaulted ledger column. Let future collectors sneeze through their audits. The gardener baptizes your chair with rosewater. You pivot just in time to save the apprentices. Marginalia doodles. Mold fears petals more than sunlight, he insists. 13th century Persian glues allegedly used crushed violets. Results included chronic sneezing and one romantic treaty. A beetle scouts your quill box. The gardener puffs chili powder into its path. It retreats, antennas flipping universal gestures. You salvage a half-dried iris from your sandal strap. Its purple streak now hallmarks your big toe. Burial shroud for bookworms, he approves, tucking it behind your ear. Sunlight stretches the gardener's shadow across papyrus rolls. His hat sprouts enough herbs to stock an apothecary's funeral. He snaps a sprig like clockmakers snap threads. Precision minus the menace. You recall a Burgundian manuscript that sprouted basil in its clasp. Monks called it a miracle. The gardener calls it poor sealing. Your elbow bumps the lichen jar, green dust, snow globes the air. He inhales deeply. Sacrifices for scholarship. He coughs, retreating toward the fig trees. You pluck rosemary from the ledger. 3 needles cling to the page in full entry. Let debtors taste their freedom's fragrance. The noon call to prayer shudders through palm fronds. He vanishes mid-sermon, leaving time in his footprints. Your scalp prickles. Jasmine oils trickle behind your ears. 8 petals have colonized the tax manifest. You flick one onto the apprentice's snoring mouth. May his dreams stay bibliography-free. Shelf spiders drag away marigold threads, silk upgraded from practical to festive. You bite a lichen cluster, regret it immediately. 14th century cough syrup vibes. The gardener's voice echoes from the drying racks. Peppermint prevents prophetic nightmares. You opt for whiskey in tonight's inkwell instead. Dusk finds you picking sage from between folios, each leaf a velvety trespasser. The pages smell like a roast chicken's final wish. Your stomach growls medieval cookbook recipes. Moonflowers glow atop the debt ledger. Their alabaster heads bow to your exhaustion. One blooms as you watch, a slow unfurling of botanical theater. You press it between pages 41 and 42. a petal bookmark for the next keeper of this aromatic chaos. Footsteps crunch gravel outside. The gardener's shadow pauses at your threshold. Lavender under the eaves, he commands. You lob a date pit at his silhouette. His chuckle fertilizes the night. Your fingers brush the sage-stuffed rafters. They've already trapped 17 moths and a regrettably curious gecko. The lichen jar glows in moonlight, an emerald sentinel against treatise-munching larvae. Somewhere, the gardener berates a fig tree about proper leaf posture. Your forehead meets the desk. Jasmine pollen dusts your next sneeze into something sacred. The gecko slips free at last, its tail twitching indignantly beneath the sage bundle. Your nail traces fresh mortar in the vault wall, pulverized oyster shells still gritty under fingertips. Mamluk builders swore seashell cement repelled termites. Results included smoother walls and chronic nosebleeds. A shadow clots the doorway. Something skitters across your desk. Your palm slaps cold ceramic. A crescent-shaped token shivers under your lifeline. Its numerals where desert winds like eroded teeth, VII and IX, clinging to existence. The vault keyhole accepts this broken grin without protest. Dust avalanches from iron hinges. The door exhales air bottled during the Songhai Empire. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's underground libraries held 50,000 manuscripts or 500,000. Your nostrils flare at the answer mildew, and oxidized leather argue for the higher estimate. The token bakes against your chest, its heat suggesting recent possession. You squint at the faded registry. Owner's mark matches a cedar box crumbled to splinters. 14th century borrowers paid security deposits in gold flakes or camel milk promises, depending on social standing. Your knuckle dislodges a spider spanning 3 centuries, its web strung between Ibn Battuta's travelogue and a tax ledger. The manuscript lies sleeping vellum curled like a child's fist. Its clasp drips green corrosion, copper alloy decomposing into malachite tears. 3 ribbons squirm from the pages, 1 dyed woad blue, 2 stained pomegranate red. Andalusi bookbinders encoded status through ribbon counts, a fact you share with the moth riding your shoulder. 3 means, you begin. The moth flutters away, wise choice. Night air sneaks through the vault door, parchment edges flutter like shy suitors. You blow gently, a scribe's colophon reveals itself. Completed during the year of locusts, no signature, just an owl drawing with human ears. Quirky fact, some Malian scribes believed owls carried messages between libraries. The first page sticks. Your breath softens the animal glue. A diagram unfolds, constellations plotted over Timbuktu's sky, mirrored by city streets below. Polaris hovers above the Sankore Mosque, street lamps becoming lesser stars. Your thumbnail measures the angles, too precise for mere metaphor. Ink specks drift upward. You recoil before remembering the Sahara's quirks. Static lifts pigment from unbound folios, a dry ode to entropy. Ottoman scholars blamed these dancing letters on sleep-deprived jinn. Your forearm pins the page. Democracy defeats the supernatural. Marginalia blooms in the gutter, a child's doodle of a giraffe wearing scholar's robes. Nearby, sunflower seeds nap between verses, snack remnants, or rodent bribes. You pocket one, let future carbon dating decide. The vault darkens, a cloud throttles the moon. Your flint sparks twice before the oil lamp remembers its job. Flame licks the manuscript's edge, you jerk back, heart-punching ribs. 4 scorched words glow, but where the librarian kings. Daylight leaks through cracks. How long have you crouched here? The token cools in your palm, its purpose fulfilled. You roll the brittle pages into a gazelle-hide tube, the motion practiced through 30 generations of protectors. Wind shrieks down the vault passage. It wants what you found. Your knees protest as you rise, the manuscript safe against your heartbeat. 74 steps to the surface. Each one whispers warnings the scholars missed. The gecko watches from the lintel, its tail regenerated, smugness intact. You deposit the tube in the disputed alcove beside a Coptic gospel nibbled by sacred mice. Let tomorrow's archivists parse celestial street maps. For now, the token's heat lives in your palm's creases. The gecko's tail flicks one last time, vanishing into a crack where mortar meets morning light. Your knuckles ache from yesterday's vault work. The sting fades as a hunched silhouette fills the workshop door. The cobbler's apron drips wax stalactites, each droplet catching sunbeams like amber accusations. His hands cradle a clay jar, its rim crusted with generations of finger swipes. You recognize the scent before he speaks, beeswax blushing with myrrh, an unchanged recipe since Mansa Musa's book caravans. Medieval Saharan binders used it to waterproof Quran covers. A fact he'll later spin into 3 increasingly dubious anecdotes. For now, his thumb traces the jar's hieroglyphs, or maybe just old spill stains. 7 parts wax, he rasps, a voice frayed by decades of haggling. 3 parts resin, the bitter kind that makes your tongue hate you. His pinky nail scrapes a blackened stir stick. Legend claims Cleopatra's sandal maker carved it. Historians still argue whether Nile cobra venom was ever used as binding gum. The cobbler winks when you ask. Your spoon gouges amber clumps. The mixture fights back with spiderweb strings. He slaps your wrist, stir counter sunwise. You want gin in the grain. A superstitious touch, Malian artisans believed clockwise motions invited hexes. The wax thickens reluctantly. Patience is measured here in resin bubbles. He peels a fig with yellowed teeth. Juice glues his fingers together. Add this, he mumbles, tossing a withered clove into the pot. For the mice, you raise an eyebrow, rodent repellent, or another tall tale. The workshop's lone mouse watches from a spice jar, judging you both. Blue flames dance beneath the crucible. Your reflection wobbles in molten gold. The cobbler hums a Tuareg caravan song, off-key notes bouncing off tool racks. His sandal taps a rhythm older than the kiln-cracked soles, keeping time with the simoom wind outside. Dust motes orbit the cooling wax, a tiny universe surrendering to gravity. He presses a thumbprint into the mixture, like your great-great-granny taught me. You've seen his guild ledger, 93 years old, and still bad at math. The thumbprint hardens, a fossilized heartbeat in the amber slab. He pockets 2 dirhams without counting. Coins clink against a camel tooth charm. Warm it with henna ash next time, he says, already halfway to the tannery. Makes the rich folks sneeze less. His laughter dissolves into the alley's symphony, hammer strikes, and donkey brays tuning themselves to the heat. Your pinky tests the wax, smooth as a tombstone's shadow. The recipe works, always works, but you'll still argue ratios tomorrow. Across the lane, the cobbler's silhouette melts into market crowds. Another craftsman blurred by the glare of 1,000 polished surfaces. The mouse drags the clove into its lair, victory secured. You seal the jar, threads of daylight caught in the wax's final sigh. The wax jar's lid whispers, shut its echo, swallowed by the creak of floorboards beneath your feet. Sunset bleeds through reed screens, striping the debtor's shelf with bars of dying light. 74 volumes slump there, each spine curved like an unpaid porter's back. You brush fingertips along their edges, the dust tastes of cardamom and regret. Timbuktu's merchant guilds recorded debts in margins, accounting as fine as any university's ledger. 16th century contracts show camel rentals paid in manuscript pages, an economy of ink and hides. Yet these books, their owners vanished into dunes or debts too heavy to carry. A sneeze rips from your throat, the shelf shudders. A slim codex slides sideways, its clasp etched with interlocking scorpions. Moorish noblewomen once wore such symbols to ward off bad credit, or so the spice merchants claim. You reposition the book, gilt scorpion tails gleam despite the grime. 3 shelves down, a cracked binding exhales pollen from distant oases. Scholars still debate whether unclaimed manuscripts held political secrets or just generations of market IOUs. Your nail flicks a beetle off the leather. It flies into a cobweb strung between 2 folios. Footsteps echo in the courtyard. You freeze until they pass. Blame the Abbasid tax collectors' ghosts. They haunt this district after sundown, or maybe just donkeys. The air cools, your shadow stretches across the shelf like an unwritten receipt. You straighten a Quran commentary. Its weight sags toward Mecca. Medieval Saharan courts accepted manuscripts as collateral, many never reclaimed after famine years. A moth flutters from the pages, left wing singed by some ancient candle. Pigeon feathers drift from the rafters. One lodges in a cracked spine. Local lore claims unpaid books grow heavier each year, absorbing their owner's shame. This one's warped boards might prove it. You lift it anyway, muscles twitching under its imagined gravity. Distant laughter leaks through the walls, the leather tanners betting tonight's wages. Your thumb meets something sticky beneath a cover, date syrup or century-old glue. Either way, it bonds you briefly to a man who died owing 5 goats. The last book resists, its pages welded shut by humidity. 10th century Algerians sealed agreements with honey wax, inviting ants to eat a tea, Chinese letter, S contracts. Historians still argue whether hives were kept in courthouses. You pry gently, the spine size open to reveal margined calculations. Crescent moons climb the workshop's single window. Their light inks silver zeros on your sleeves. Unpaid sums blur, 34 dinars here, 16 bolts of damask there. A spider stitches its web across the numbers, weaving interest into the gaps. Your 5th sneeze shakes loose a papyrus scrap. It spirals downward. You catch it midair, fragment of a poem about lost earrings. Quirky or desperate collateral. The debtor's name has crumbled, leaving only daughter of and a smudged lineage. Clay dust coats your tongue. You swallow mint leaves from your pocket. Tomorrow's problem. Tonight, you align the volumes until their embossing catches the first starlight. The shelf groans, a chorus of grudges settling into temporary order. Mosque drums sound the final hour. Their vibrations disturb a single page. It flutters, a white flag in the dark. You press it flat, palms tingling with someone else's unfinished business. Somewhere beyond the workshops, a camel brays at the exact pitch of a debtor's sigh. Your neck prickles. A static charge lifts the hairs beneath your scarf. Parchments shift without touch, their edges curling like alarmed centipedes. The air thickens, wet clay and ozone prickling your sinuses. Across the workshop, a dozen heads snap up. Skin remembers droughts before mines. You're already vaulting over toolboxes. Timbuktu's librarians once packed manuscripts in camel skin trunks lined with salt, a shield against damp. But the first fat drop smacks your forearm. Its cold shock breaks the trance. Gold-leafed pages flare brighter, as if begging for rescue. Shutters bang open, apprentices scramble onto roofs. A boy tosses canvas rolls downward. They unfurl like arrested waterfalls. You dive for a stack of loose folios, ink still tacky from yesterday's restoration. Local legends claim midnight rain awakens ink made from crushed scarabs. The recipe's lost, but your fingers flinch anyway. Sheets slap into waterproofed cedar boxes, each slam punctuated by thunder's growl. West walls leaking. Someone barks, voice cracking. Historians still argue whether sudden downpours destroyed more codices than centuries of desert winds. You leap over a puddle, ankle-deep water already slurping at dye jars. 3 workers heave a tarp, its olive fabric billowing like a drunken ghost. Rain drums the courtyard tiles, 1,000 impatient fingers. Your sandals skid on mudslick stone. You catch yourself against a book press. Its iron jaws grip a half-bound anthology, poems about monsoons that never came. Irony stings worse than the downpour. Across the room, the elder scribe rolls papyrus scrolls into waxed linen. His motions stay measured, each twist mirroring rituals from Mali's golden age. You mimic him, tucking a loose glossary into your tunic. Cold water trickles down your spine, an unwanted collaborator. Lightning flares, blue-white glare reveals every warped shelf. For a heartbeat, the workshop becomes a negative image of itself. Blackened wood gleams, gold leaf titles snuffed out. Thunder shakes your molars, the storms laugh at human preparations. A puddle soaks through your left sandal, toes squelch. With every step, you boost an apprentice onto a wobbling desk. She slings ropes through roof beams. Carthaginian traders used similar knots to secure silk during Saharan squalls. The memory surfaces unbidden muscle knowledge from a lecture 5 lifetimes ago. Rainwater cascades down the stairs now, a brown torrent chewing at the floor. You stack Quran boards overhead, their carved geometric patterns channeling streams away from desks. A drop hits your eyelid, blurring the chaos into impressionist brushstrokes. Someone's goat bleats outside, the midnight markets flood. Your mind flashes to debtors' shelves, water warping those unpaid spines, but a hand grips your shoulder. The toolmaster shoves a bucket into your arms. Priorities shift, you bail in rhythm with the storm's percussion. Clay jars bob past, empty ink pots become life rafts for brushes. A dyed page floats by indigo blossoms, bleeding into salt lines. You let it go, saving the box of gilt-edged contracts instead. Candle stubs gutter, their light drowns in humidity. The eastern shutter tears free. Wind hurls it into a vat of shellac. Resin sprays, catching in your lashes, blinking through amber film. You glimpse apprentices forming a human chain. Manuscripts pass hand to hand, a last pilgrimage to the drier storerooms. Your heel crunches something, a shattered hourglass swallowed by the flood. Sand grinds between tiles, time itself dissolving. Rain batters your crown, each drop a pickaxe on stone. You spit water, taste the iron tang of distant mountains. Thunder peaks, a sound felt in the liver. Then silence. The storm hiccups, dwindles to drips. Chests heave, tools float in ankle-deep lakes. Ink swirls in mesmerizing patterns, the workshop's own marbled end papers. You wring out your scarf, muddy threads stain a restored page pink. Outside, the first cricket rasps. It sounds apologetic. Someone laughs, the jagged, wild sound of relief. Others join until the rafters hum. Lightning flickers again, fainter now. In its afterimage, you see the elder scribe still at his desk. His palm cups a rescued manuscript, tender as a skull beneath a fallen minaret. Rainwater purls on the cover, beating like mercury on a mirror. Mosque drums begin, drowned out by the storm's leftovers. You press a palm to the closest wall, still vibrating from the onslaught. Desert downpours rarely last. but their ghosts linger in warped wood and puckered leather. A warm hand passes you a clay cup, mint steam battles the wet wool stench. First sip burns, then soothes. Tomorrow's labor materializes, blotting felt, reshaped quills, sunlight baths for drenched pages. For now, you watch the courtyard's new stream carve paths through residue. Stars blink through retreating clouds, their light laundered clean. Somewhere, a donkey brays its soggy disapproval. You lean against a pillar, listening to the workshop drip itself dry. The last raindrop falls, a perfect sphere, quivering on a spider's web before plunging. Canvas snaps taut above your head. The bitter scent of wet goat hair fibers bites your throat. You wrestle a corner onto the roof's edge, fingers slipping on algae-slick clay. Rain still slants sideways, needling your cheeks as you fumble for river stones. Someone tosses a sandbag. It explodes against the tiles, quartz fragments glinting like shattered candy. Historians tally Sankor Mosque's ancient drainage canals, but none mention this madness. A tarp whips free, slapping your temple with a wet smack. Laughter erupts from the dye vats. Apprentices knee-deep in indigo puddles now resemble soggy lappy statues. You fling a stone onto the flapping edge. Its iridescent surface winks from the Niger's riverbed. Tie off or drown, yells the toolmaster, his beard dripping black with diluted ink. Carthaginian traders used camel urine to waterproof parchments, though no one admits it today. Your knuckles whiten around a rope, hemp fibers searing your palm. The storm's dying breaths howl through gaps, playing the workshop like a fractured flute. A puddle reflects your face upside down hair, plastered into medusa tendrils. You kick it, scattering the image. Two workers wrestle a runaway goatskin tarp. Its flapping corners mimic a panicked octopus. Grab the damn legs. Someone screeches, half giggling. Lightning flickers, a last spotlight on the chaos. The elder scribe stands dry beneath an intact awning, sipping tea. His calm slices deeper than wind. You lunge for a sodden manuscript, its pages fluttering like wounded doves. Salt from a burst preservation jar grinds underfoot, Timbuktu's old trick against damp. Rain drides slither down your neck, navigating spine valleys. Historians still argue whether medieval bookbinders prayed to rain gods or cursed them. Your soaked tunic clings, cool as a second skin. Across the room, an apprentice slips, arms pinwheeling before belly flopping into a puddle. The snort laugh that escapes you burns through the chill. Tarp's balloon transform into drunken parade floats. You anchor another corner, the stone's mica flex, sparking false hope. Someone's clay cup floats past, mint leaves clinging like shipwreck survivors. A goat bleats from the flooded alley, its complaint universal. Lightning's afterimage paints the sky. Your shadow stretches across 3 workbenches. The storm's retreat rumbles eastward, a petulant child dragging its toys. You slump against a pillar, palm squelching into mortar. Cold seeps upward, a counterweight to your racing heart. Dawn's first light seeps through rents in the canvas, honeyed streaks across warped wood. The workshop steams a beast panting after its gallop. Ink swirls map new continents on the floor, your toes ripple their borders. Another scar for the ledgers, murmurs the toolmaster, plucking a quill from a puddle. His shrug says storms vanish, but stories crystallize. You pluck a soaked folio from a drain, its inky colophon bleeding a surgeon's name from Gujarat. Trade routes live in these water stains. Apprentices wring out their sashes, fabric snapping like distant firecrackers. A shredded page clings to your calf, its poetry fragmenting into moon and thirst and silver. You peel it off, press it flat on a bench. Let the sun decide its fate. The elder scribe approaches, offers a dry corner of his robe. You decline with a headshake, pride intact. His chuckle warms the damp air. Rain reveals what varnish hides. He says, gesturing to a now legible ownership mark on your rescued book. Water droplets cling to spider webs, each a trembling lens. Somewhere, a hammer clinks as workers rehang shutters. Your breath steadies, sinks with the drip-drip from sagging eaves. The storm's wrath softens into anecdote, a guest who overstayed but brought unexpected gifts. You step into the courtyard. Mud sucks at your sandals. Rivulets carve tiny canyons through dust, their ambition bigger than their lifespan. A wet sparrow shakes itself on a windowsill, indignant fluffing of feathers. You mimic it, head to toe shudder, and nearly upend a passing water jar. Laughter loops around the workshops again, lighter now, threaded with exhaustion. Hands pass around dates and rock salt, rebuilding strength through sugar and grit. You bite into a date. Its caramel sweetness shouts down the rain's metallic aftertaste. Against the eastern wall, the tarped books huddle like nervous foals. You lift a corner, check for leaks. Dry spines greet you, their gold titles glinting smugly. A spider scuttles across Ibn Khaldun's name, ambitious squatter in the historiography section. Mosque drums resume their pulse gentler after the storm's arrhythmia. The scribes return to stools, steam rising from their robes like morning mist. You wring out your scarf, twist it tight until the fabric creaks. Tomorrow's labor beckons, re-inking, repressing, redreaming. A sunbeam breaks through, lancing the courtyard's new mud pond. Its glare hits a floating quill, turning the nib into a molten dagger. You shield your eyes, watch apprentices kick water at each other, their shadows liquid on the walls. The last raindrop plinks into a copper basin, a perfect middle C. It hangs in the air, a musical period on the storm's sentence. Somewhere far off, the Niger swells, a sleepy giant turning in its bed. You taste dust again, the desert reasserting itself. Someone starts a work chant, low and familiar. Hands join in patting walls, slapping tables, stamping feet. The rhythm vibrates through puddles, ripples, intersecting in fragile mandalas. You hum a long voice cracking on the high notes, and let the workshop carry you. The elder's cane scrapes wet tiles, its rasp cuts through the apprentices. Post-storm chatter. You freeze mid-suture linen thread dangling from a gut-soaked Quran binding. His shadow stretches across your workbench, distorted by puddles into something avian and judging. Timbuktu's manuscripts favored indigo over lapis, cheaper than crushed Afghan gemstones, a fact whispered between bookbinders. The cane's brass tip hovers above your repair, your pulse thuds in both temples. He taps once, the sound echoes like a judge's gavel. Your needle trembles, embarrassingly ceremonial Nubian thread. They stop making it since the Mamluk embargo. A drop of congealed gum Arabic quivers on the spine. Historians still argue whether Niger River clay strengthened glue or just hid shoddy stitching. The cane withdraws. You release a breath you didn't realize choked your lungs. Across the room, someone drops a waterlogged codex. Its pages splay like a dead jellyfish. The elder's nostrils flare, but his eyes stay on your work. Termite spit mortar held up better than expected, a fringe theory vindicated in the storm's wake. You resist the urge to adjust the choir alignment. His calloused thumb brushes the edge, skin catching on gold-tooled hyena leather. One nod, that's all. It hits warmer than the feeble sun fighting through clouds. The cane clacks away, its rhythm matching the drip-drip from shattered roof tiles. Apprentices swarm your periphery, eyeing the sanctioned repair. You flip the cover, exposing the colophan's Ajami glosses swirling beneath Arabic. Sankor scholars wrote physics treatises in Fulfulde, a rebellion few modern universities acknowledge. Cool wind slithers through broken shutters, lifting hair from your sweat-damp neck. Your stitching needle winks in the gloom, its curve mirroring the elder's vanished silhouette. 3 desks over, an argument erupts about using jackal fat to preserve vellum. Burn the heresy, croaks the dye master, though everyone knows he's hoarding lion tallow. You press a palm to your repaired spine, feel the hum of approval trapped in parchment. Dust motes settle where the storm raged, golden in weak sunlight. The workshop sighs, a chorus of creaking shelves and rasping whetstones. Someone lights a brazier. The smoke curls into a question mark above your head. You tilt the book, watch light skate across centuries of fingerprints. No ownership marks, just the faint scent of dodo oil from some extinct binder's toolkit. A spider scurries into the gutter, its web already mending what the storm unmade. The elder's tea cools untouched at his desk, mint leaves sinking like shipwrecked sails. You mimic his stillness, chest rising slower now, until the clank of drying presses resumes. Rain's ghost lingers in warped floorboards. Each step whispers of near disaster, averted. Your shadow merges with the elders against the wall, a brief eclipse witnessed only by the ink-stained rafters. Lightning forks above the scriptorium, 3 jagged claws raking open the bruised sky. Blue-white glare floods your desk, the palimpsest beneath your palms suddenly alive with ghosts. You squint at the vellum, storm light reveals curves beneath curves. A cursive script swims under 9th century Kufic, like bad henna tattoos layered over older stains. Timbuktu's librarians once hid banned star charts in plain sight, overwriting forbidden math with pious quotes. Standard practice during Mansa Musa's reign. Your thumb grazes the betrayal, two histories warring in sheepskin. Thunder rattles cracked roof tiles. Across the workshop, a stack of Ottoman rag paper slumps into a puddle. Nobody moves. The air smells of scorched metal and wet ibex fur. Well, croaks the dye master's apprentice, hoarse, from inhaling walnut husk fumes. You rotate the page, watch vanished letters blaze anew. 8 words shimmer where none existed, a message meant for lightning's brief kiss. Historians still argue whether margins held encrypted grain, tax records, or poetry for dead lovers. The phantom text curves like a scorpion's tail, defying every script you've memorized. Your all slips, piercing clean through the vellum, a rookie mistake. 3 desks over, someone snorts into their sleeve. The elder's cane thumps twice from the shadows, a warning ricocheting off soaked brick walls. Storm runoff drips onto your nape, each drop tracing your spine. You blot the puncture with linen. Press until your fingertip whitens. Faint glyphs linger behind your eyelids when you blink, thorny characters from no alphabet you recognize. The codex's original owner lined their book chest with pregnant camel skin, a superstition against silverfish. A controversial choice, even in 1400 and something. You trace the bloated leather spine, wonder if fetal hooves ever kicked within. Lightning again, the workshop becomes a negative image. Darkness where there was light. Light where there was shadow. The hidden script now glows angry purple, a bruise demanding attention. Fetch the magnifier, you bark, surprising yourself. The youngest apprentice startles, knocking over a dish of powdered lappies. 3 months, wages cascade across termite-eaten floorboards. The elder's teacup shatters against the wall. Through the chaos, you squint at swollen letters. The script resembles Songhai royal decrees, but warped, as if written during a fever dream. Someone claims 5th-generation bookbinders could read such codes in their sleep. A myth, probably. Rain resumes, needling the roof's weakened patches. The magnifier's warped glass enlarges your trembling breath more than the text. A drop splashes the page, the ink runs upward, defying gravity, defying sense. Dawn's first gong echoes through the storm. You realize you've been holding the same muscle cramp for 30 breaths. The phantom script fades like dream memories, leaving only damp vellum and your racing pulse. You rub sand from stinging eyes. Your knuckles come away, smeared with indigo and doubt. Across the room, the elder inspects lightning-split cedar rafters. His reflection glimmers in your polishing stone, a distorted face, mouthing warnings you can't hear. The storm passes, leaving the world tender and raw. Your candle gutters, its final sputter illuminates the puncture hole's edges. Perfectly circular, too precise for an aul's triangular blade. You press a fresh sheet over the palimpsest, its fibers whispering against centuries-old mistakes. The secret clings to your retina, a scribe's last laugh burned into your vision. Tomorrow's task takes shape, peeling back layers without shredding either truth. Thunder growls on the horizon, or maybe it's your empty stomach. Doesn't matter. The mystery pulses now, an itch between shoulder blades, no repositioning eases. Somewhere beneath Timbuktu's clay, a long-dead scholar smiles. You roll the magnifier between palms, glass warping the workshop into liquid shapes. A spider descends on its silk, legs skimming the vellum's surface. It hesitates over the puncture, then flees into gathering shadows. From the debtor's shelf, unpaid manuscripts creak in newfound damp. Their whispers blend with the elder's receding footsteps. You lick salt from cracked lips, taste the storm's metallic anger. Moonlight bleeds through shattered shutters. The palimpsest sleeps, innocuous as any other skin awaiting binding. Your tools glint in the pale light, complicit. Somewhere beyond the workshop, a donkey brays at the retreating clouds. Closer by, moths batter dying lanterns. You etch the strange glyphs into wax, a temporary tattoo for tomorrow's investigation. Dawn's second gong looms. The workshop holds its breath. The oil lamp gutters as your palm meets the book's cover, vegetable tanned leather, warmed by 20 hours of work. You whisper the binder's oath, words memorized from a cholera summer. The elder first trusted you with guilt that season. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's scribes kept anonymous to honor God or dodge Sultan's wrath. Your thumb rubs the spine's blind tooling, 19 raised dots forming no known numeral, always 19. 3 shelves to your left, a disintegrating manual on Andalusian tile, patterns exhales clay dust. Legend claims its author mixed ink with camel urine for permanence. You've never been tempted to verify. The workshop's soul, intact shutter, taps Morse code against the wall. Moonlight slices through 19 silver stripes across your workbench. Coincidence feels less likely these days. You press harder. The cover's central medallion leaves a crater in your skin. Pride swells despite everything. This book will outlive you, will outlive the elder and his cane. From the glue pot comes a wet plop, resin finally cooled enough to skin over. The smell conjures beehives sacked by honey badgers last dry season. Memories, a cruel perfumer. Signed it yet, croaks the night watchman, his shadow stretching unnaturally long across spice jars. You shake your head. He chuckles, the sound like gravel in a tin cup. Everyone knows anonymous works fetch less at auction. Everyone also knows named bookbinders tend to disappear. Offered prestigious commissions in Bamako or Fez. The math puzzles no one. Your needle glints as you secure the final and band, silk threads twisting into a miniature ziggurat. 10th century Baghdad style. Reached Mali via traders who preferred barter over battle. The night watchman's lantern passes. Flame reflected in your polishing stone becomes a dancing djinn. You glance away. Superstitions, the first luxury tired minds afford. Beneath your palm, the book thrums. Or maybe that's your pulse. Hard to tell after 3 sleepless nights. The workshop merges maker and made without ceremony. Somewhere beyond the debtor's shelf, a mouse gnaws Moroccan binding glue. The elder swore it contained traces of swallowed emeralds. You've tasted enough to confirm fig resin. Cool air brushes your nape, a presence in the doorway without footfalls. The elder, a thief. You don't turn. Let them witness anonymity incarnate. The clasp clicks shut, a sound cleaner than dawn prayer bells. Your breath fogs the leather. In the condensation, something that might be letters, might be exhaustion. 18 unread manuscripts rustle as you stand there, whispers blending into the scrape of stool legs. Your knee pops like a cork from a shipwrecked bottle. At the threshold, you hesitate. The vow demands you forget this book by sunrise, demands you unremember the split vellum, the Kufic border kissing the Coptic spine. Too late, the details already root in your marrow, another story added to the workshop's silent chorus. You blow out the lamp. Let the ghosts have their due. Rainwater drips from the eaves, each drop bursting, star-shaped, on leather-bound spines. The apprentice's breath fogs beside you, their question, still dissolving in the humid air. You flex your stiffening fingers, a craftsman's arthritis blooming earlier each year. Outlive the stars, you echo, pointing to where Andromeda's smear mirrors a blotch on a Quran's margin. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's libraries surpassed Alexandria's. Ash and envy make poor measuring sticks. The apprentice kneels, palm flat against a cover, still damp with indigo dye. You toss them a drying cloth. Cheaper than philosophers, ask the books themselves. They don't laugh. Youth takes immortality seriously. 3 shelves away, a donkey brays at the storm's leftovers. Your mind drifts to the Berber merchant who sold you galley proofs as pillow stuffing. True story. Probably. The apprentice traces gilt edges on a medical treatise, but the ink fades. The leather cracks. Moonlight catches their cheek still round with 17 summers. You resist mentioning the termites. From your satchel comes a palm-sized codex, its cedar boards warped into a permanent curve. Found this in a Tuareg saddlebag. Survived 7 Saharan crossings. The pages smell of fermented goat milk. Preservations, a funny alchemist. Wind riffles the drying racks. Pages flutter like moth wings. The night watchman's lantern bobs past. His cough carries the tune of a Songhai funeral dirge. You hum along. Tradition demands it. They wrote on ostrich eggshells first, you know. The apprentice blinks. You shrug. Cracked too easily during debates, hence parchment. Their snort warms you more than mint tea. A droplet lands on the codex, blurring a Coptic prayer about celestial fire. You blot it gingerly. Some stains become scripture if given time. The apprentice studies the night sky, their fingertip connecting Antares to a water stain, mimicking the Leo constellation. Do we matter to them? The question's older than Timbuktu's oldest folio. You exhale slowly, where the glue between pages, not the story, just what keeps it legible. The metaphor sags, retirement's creeping closer than the dawn prayer. From the gutter below, a shred of vellum surfaces like a resurrected minnow. The apprentice rescues it. Their gasp cuts the dark. This is Emperor Musa's tax decree. Or a shopping list. You squint at the looping script. Eggs, mint, 3 yards of linen. They deflate. You pocket the fragment anyway. Legends need kindling. A bat swoops, its shadow stitching constellations to book covers. The apprentice ducks. You don't. 3 decades here teach you whose wings shape the night. They linger at the threshold, a silhouette borrowed from an illuminated manuscript. The stars burn out, though. Even Ibn Rushd said so. Sand grates between your teeth as you smile. So do we. Yet here we are breathing stardust and mending parchment. The workshop's heartbeat thrums, needles piercing leather, brushes kissing ink. Eternity's a well-stocked repair kit. Your knee creaks as you rise, a protest drowned by the muezzin's first call. The apprentice remains forehead pressed to a herbal compendium's water, warped boards. Let them wrestle angels. You've blisters to tend. The muezzin's final echo dies as iron clanks on your work table. A locksmith's shadow stretches across warped floorboards. Tarnished clasps tumble from his oil-stained pouch. Each tooth's profile matches a manuscript's thickness. You lift one shaped like a Berber amulet. Its click whispers of 12th century Moorish Spain. Tripoli steel. He grunts, knuckles scarred from forging chainmail for Ottoman siege engines. Historians still argue whether book clasps discouraged thieves or termites. You side with termites, witnessed their ceasefire with cedarwood last dry season. The smallest clasp fits your palm, a miniature hasp mimicking Songhai knotwork. Made this from a pilgrim's broken dagger, the locksmith murmurs. True story. Unlikely. But his grin says truth's cheaper than tin here. You test the mechanism, click, click, click. Each snap resonates differently against the workshop's adobe walls. He nods at your raised eyebrow. High noon, twilight, deep night. Recognize them blindfolded. A joke dies on your tongue. His tools gleam sharper than your bone folders. Moonlight reveals corrosion on a fish-shaped clasp, Nile perch, maybe. Salvaged from a shipwrecked Venetian trader, he lies smoothly. You counterlie. Smells like Alexandria's fish market. He barks a laugh, startles a gecko off the mortar jar. 3 clasps resist your fingers. Their secrets require oil and whispered threats. The locksmith watches, amused. That one, he points to a serpentine design, came from the Kano armory. Their scribes swore it hissed at moonlight. You press it to your ear, hear only the workshop's timeless murmur. Needs better lies, you suggest. he tosses a vial of sesame oil. Needs better listeners. Dawn stains the horizon as you fasten the last clasp, a rhombus studded with rivets. The locksmith's boot scuffs paws at the door. They say Mansa Musa's treasurer wore the keys to his coin chests as earrings. You snort. They also say Jinns hate saffron. His silhouette shrugs. Try explaining that to the Moroccan who paid me in cloves. The tale reeks of truth. You let it linger like bergamot in black tea. One clasp remains, a crude rectangle that bites your thumb. Its teeth leave constellations of pressure marks. The locksmith hesitates. That's from Taykta's copper mines, minted the same year. Ibn Battuta got dysentery here. You freeze. Scholars have mapped the explorer's intestinal rebellions more thoroughly than his roots. The clasp grows heavy patina, hiding 13 centuries of finger grease. Keep it, he mutters, already retreating into lemon-tinted dawn. Metal remembers. Alone, you test each clasp again. Click noon's assurance. Click twilight's warning. Click night's irrevocable verdict. Your palms read their ridges like braille. Somewhere beyond the workshop, a camel bell chimes. The serpent clasp warms in your grip, still silent, still waiting. Your forehead meets the workbench. Wood grain etches itself into your temple like a reluctant tattoo. The serpent clasp still warms your palm, its metal heartbeat syncing with your sluggish pulse. Somewhere beyond the shuttered windows, a donkey brays its opinion on overtime hours. 3 empty inkwells stand sentinel, their dried residues whispering of olive oil and crushed lapis lazuli. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's scribes worked through the night or just napped under their desks. Tonight's evidence suggests a third option, caffeine-free delirium edged with perfectionism. Your left eyelid develops its own Morse code, blinking SOS at the dangling lantern. Fingers twitch, rehearsing tomorrow's stitch patterns on air. The ledger lies open. Its last entry reads 37 quills, 2 alls, 1 will to live. You snort dust, motes swirl like startled fireflies. The scent of fermented leather glue wraps around you, a olfactory lullaby. You'd kill for Byzantine coffee right now, or the dregs of a Tuareg tea ceremony. Caravanners paid your master in coffee beans. Once he mistook them for rat droppings. The ensuing brew nearly restarted the siege of Tripoli. Reality blurs at the edges. The bone folder in your pocket feels suspiciously feathery. Is that a pillow? No, just a crumpled page of Sufi poetry. The verses rearrange themselves as you squint. Sleep is but death's apprentice. It teases. You'd flip it off if your arms weighed less than Mansa Musa's gold reserves. A gecko belly crawls across the ceiling. Its shadow mimics a book spine's curve. You track its progress through half-closed eyes. 6 tiles. 7, 8, 9. Historians still argue whether Timbuktu's libraries held more geckos than librarians by the 16th century. You're too tired to care. The gecko wins either way. Dreams rise like vellum in water, distorted but inevitable. Shelves you've built stretch into impossible architectures, each tome breathing in unison. The termite elder from last season reappears, clicking mandibles in tribal Morse. We'll take the oak shelves next Thursday, he declares. You hand him a cedar chip bribe, payment methods unchanged since Sundiata's reign. Moonlight shifts, illuminating your colleague Ahmed, snoring in a papyrus nest, his beard's stained indigo from yesterday's dye spill. You envy him deeply. The man could nap through a sandstorm, once did, according to workshop legend. Woke up with a scorpion in his pocket and 3 marriage proposals. Your neck protests, a rusted hinge in need of oil. You fumble for the sesame oil vial, knock over a jar of iron gall ink instead. It rolls toward the edge, you lunge. The clay shatters, ink splatters the wall like a Rorschach blot. 2 decades from now, apprentices will swear it's the face of Ibn Khaldun. The workshop's heartbeat slows, tools settling, pigments crystallizing, mice debating tonight's snack route. Your breath sinks with the dangling lantern's sway, left, right, left, darkness. Someone's humming a Songhai lullaby. Might be you. Might be the ghost of that Venetian trader's last crewman. Does it matter? Your cheek adheres to the workbench, organic bookbinding. When dawn comes, and it will, viciously, you'll find poetry in the wood grain stamped across your face. The serpent clasp now cools in your slack grip, its secret safe for 19 more hours. For now, let the dreams walk. Let their paper-soft footsteps patter through shelves lined with all the words you've ever mendied. Let the workshop keep watch, its guardianship, outlasting even the stars' cold gaze. Your forehead rests against the wood, its grooves mapping constellations, only half remembered. The serpent clasp rests silent now, its metallic whispers drowned by your slowing breath. Outside, the donkey's protests fade, muffled by dunes swallowing the stars. 3 inkwells stand empty, their blue-black souls spent on verses now sleeping. Scholars quarrel over candlelit vigils or stolen naps. You've settled the debate. Perfectionism thrives where coffee fears to tread your quill's ballet, reduced to tremors. Eyelids sag, lantern light blurs into a hazy sunrise. Fingers trace phantom stitching patterns, muscle memory persisting beyond reason. The ledger's final confession glows. 37 quills, 2 alls, 1 will to live. A dry laugh stirs dust, your audience of motes swirls in approval. Fermented glue wraps you like a second skin, sour, yet familiar. If only that Venetian's coffee hadn't been mistaken for vermin leavings. History's caffeine-deprived delirium stretches thin, threadbare as your focus. The bone folder becomes a feather no, a creased poem mocking your resolve. Sleep is death's apprentice wavers on the page. You lack the energy to argue. Truth tastes sweetest when exhaustion licks your bones. A gecko traces the ceiling, 9 tiles, 10, 11. Its tail writing sagas in the shadows. Let historians tally lizards and librarians. Tonight, the gecko claims victory. You surrender gladly. Dreams bloom waterlogged vellum, curling into palaces of air. Termite kings renegotiate shelf rights. Cedar chips pass hands like ancient currency. Trade agreements hold firm. Some traditions outwit time. Moonlight paints Ahmed blue indigo beard, rising with each snore. His legend grows as you watch scorpion suitors and sandstorm naps woven into workshop lore. Envy feels pointless now. Rest is a victory, not a retreat. Your neck creaks, a rusted hinge begging for oil. The ink jar teeters, falls, blooms black ichor across stone. Future apprentices will see Ibn Khaldun's frown. You see a Rorschach requiem. Let them debate. The workshop sighs, mice tiptoe, pigments harden, tools nestle into shadow. Breath sways with the lantern left to right, stillness. A lullaby hums your voice, or the wind. Does it matter? The workbench cradles you, its woodgrain imprint, a temporary tattoo. Dawn lurks beyond the shutters, relentless, but not yet. The serpent rests, cold against your palm, its tailies paused mid-breath. Let dreams wander. Let paper-soft footsteps shuffle through libraries. Only sleep builds. Let the workshop hum its watchful tune, older than Timbuktu, quieter than stars. Breathe, drift. The gecko blinks first.